Yeah, so in our last debate, you said that you were agnostic to free will. So how exactly do you determine your morals regarding that it's wrong to eat meat and right to eat plants? Well, here's the thing. I know you love your hypotheticals, so let's go with the hypothetical here. Somebody is grabbing my hand, forcing a knife into my hand, and then forcing me to kill another person. Is it me or the big, strong person who's forcing me to kill that person, the one who is at fault? So is it me, the who's forced to hold a knife, and despite all of my struggle, the person who is stronger than me is forcing me to kill the other person? So is it my fault?
And I hate to interrupt, but you are out.
So answer my question, would you blame me or the person who is forcing me? Who would go to jail? Well, the issue is that if you're agnostic to free will, then every carnivore, every person who's eating meat is not technically doing wrong because it's all predetermined. How can you say that what they're doing is wrong? Well, just as you said, if it's predetermined that I'm going to kill somebody because the person behind me is forcing me to kill somebody, how is it my fault?
Okay, that should fix it. My audio settings fucked up. Okay, I have to summarize. Sorry for my stream. So, you just asked me about free will and how I can believe something's right or wrong with a lack of agency. So, with, like, the universe being predetermined.
Well, not
I,
necessarily. It's more so like, how can you determine that it's wrong for carnivores to be eating meat? And how can you punish them for that? You're
yeah,
punishing them for something that's
yeah,
determined.
so it's not really about punishment, it's just about protecting the rights of other sentient beings. So I'm not really thinking of it through a punishment mindset. And again, like, can you point out the contradiction? Like, what's the contradiction?
Well, it's the fact that last time you said you would be okay with killing a bear. That's a sentient living being. And you're
Right,
okay
and
with
I
killing
told you the
us.
bear would kill, say, 1,000 other sentient beings. So, in the interest of protecting the most amount of rights, I'd be in favor of killing the bear. So, what's the contradiction?
So your solution to murder is murder?
Yeah. If that's the only way to prevent those rights violations, like, are you against, like, murdering human beings?
Yeah, I'm against
Okay.
the death penalty.
Well, we're not talking about the death penalty necessarily.
Well, that's basically the same thing here. A bear is killing
Okay,
many
so
different.
are you against killing Nazis? Like, would you be against, like, killing Hitler or any other Nazis who are holocausting Jews?
So you would personally want to torture a Nazi?
No. When the hell did I say that? I said I'd be in favor of
Well,
killing Nazis to save Jews.
so you're in favor of murder
Yes, if
for
it
murder.
prevents more murder.
So what's wrong with just locking them up?
Sorry, you can't. There's far too many wild animals to actually keep them in captivity. If it were feasible, then sure, I'd be in favor of it, and assuming we could feed them a vegan diet, like put them on vegan cat food. But it's just not. It's not plausible.
So once again, how
Wait.
exactly
You
can
said
you
I made a
decide?
contradiction. What is the contradiction?
The fact that you're saying that you are agnostic to free will, that you do believe that free will exists?
What's the contradiction?
You believe that free will exists.
I said I'm agnostic, but what's the contradiction? Do you know what a
All right.
contradiction is?
Yes, the fact that you are quite literally saying that you want to murder another sentient being for not having free will.
That's not a
It just
contradiction. Do you know what a contradiction is?
Yes, the fact that you're quite literally saying that.
Can you define what a
want to
contradiction is? Because you clearly don't know what a contradiction is.
All right, I'll just pull up the definition right now. A combination of statements, ideas, or features of a situation that are opposed to one another. Saying that you want to.
Right, so how do I have
solve
two
murder-
opposing views at the same time? What are the two
the fact
opposing
that you wanna
views?
the fact that you want to solve murder with murder, and that you believe that
That's
there
not a
is right and
contradiction.
wrong.
I outlined my belief. I said I am against murder. The most practical way to reduce murders
said
is
that
by
you wanted
murdering
murder.
murderers. So if we have a murderer who's going to kill 1,000 people, I could prevent 1,000 murders by killing the one murderer. So how is that a contradiction? What is the contradiction? Like, would you be in favor? Would you have been in favor of killing Hitler to save 6 million Jews?
But we're not talking about Hitler. We're not talking about Nazis. We're
Well,
talking
it's the
about
same
carnivorous.
principle. So would you be in
No,
favor of
it's not.
killing Hitler to save 6 million Jews?
So you're saying that Hitler is a carnivorous animal?
Well, he's arguably worse, but it's the same principle. So the principle I'm
No, it's not.
espousing,
Compared to humans.
it's
So
the
you're saying
same
that-
principle. So I want to kill killers to prevent more killings. Hitler's a murderer. If you kill Hitler, you could save 6 million Jews. Would you be in favor of killing Hitler?
Yes.
Okay.
Hypothetically.
Then, okay, so
Not
then
okay.
you agree with me that it makes logical sense if you're against murder to kill a murderer before they can commit more murders.
Well, first of all, we have to distinct the fact that carnivorous acts between animals are completely different from murdering a person and then leaving their body on the side of the road, which is what Nazis.
What's the meaningful difference?
The fact that you are scientifically, you're giving life to another life through carnivorous acts. It's completely different from murder.
I'm sorry, what? Can you
I'm
explain?
sorry, but humans aren't animals in
Yeah,
that
we
same
are.
sense.
Well, yeah, we
We're
are.
not
We're
carnivorous.
apes.
Okay, so you're saying that Hitler was a carnivorous animal.
Well, yeah, he ate meat.
So you're saying he was a lion?
No. So
So
can
you're
you
saying that
wait? Can you stop mischaracterizing everything I'm saying? So when I say Hitler ate meat, how does that turn into, oh, Hitler's a lion?
All right, so basically what you were saying before is you were in favor of killing a bear, correct?
Yeah, so I'd be in favor of killing a bear to prevent the bear from
what
killing
point in
more
his life?
animals.
At what point in his life?
Any point.
So you would be in favor of killing Hitler when he's a baby.
Yeah, absolutely. Knowing that he would kill 6 million Jews along with 4 million other people in the Holocaust and create a world war that caused, I don't know how many more millions of deaths. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so let's take this principle to psychopaths. You would be in favor of killing a psychopath because they could actually kill more humans?
Well, no, because there are plenty of psychopaths who never commit a crime. So if I could see into the future and I knew somebody was going to commit a murder some point in the future, and there was no other way to stop the murder, then sure, at least at some point in their life, I would be in favor of killing them. Ideally, like right before they commit the murder.
So because an animal needs meat to live and you know that they're going to kill animals, you think that it's right to kill off 63% of all animal life on planet Earth?
Yeah, so I never said that. I said I'd be in favor of killing carnivorous animals when it would reduce rights violations.
What about what about herbivores and their rights violations?
Yeah, so herbivores can kill other animals. That does happen, but there's no 100% guarantee. So with carnivores, we know for a fact that they will kill. Herbivores, you don't know whether or not they will kill.
So what about grape?
Sorry?
I'm saying that What about grape? I'm saying that because I'm on TikTok Live and I'm trying not to get taken off.
Okay, well, I don't know, like, do deer grape each other?
Beavers do. Ducks do.
Okay,
So what are
well,
you gonna
you'd
do?
probably be contributing to more rights violations by killing them just to prevent grape, so I'd be against doing that.
So you're in favor of killing carnivorous animals, but you don't want to put the other animals which naturally would commit grape just to mates in jail? Wouldn't that be equivocal, like
No.
almost equivocal?
No,
How
you
so?
would probably be contributing to a greater amount of rights violations by killing them.
Not saying to kill them. I mean, we put other grapists in jail. So why don't you put ducks and beavers in jail?
Well, probably because it's not practical.
Yeah, and why do you find it to be practical to kill off carnivores who naturally need to survive?
Well, because we can. We've made certain species extinct. So wait, the root issue here was that I made a contradiction. Do you acknowledge that I did not make a contradiction?
No, you did make a contradiction.
So
'cause
what's the
you're saying you want-
contradiction?
Well, murder is unlawful killing. How do you know that these carnivorous beings?
Point out the
How do you know
contradiction.
that
It should only
they're
take you one sentence. Just say the two opposing views. What's the contradiction?
You said that you were agnostic to free will and simultaneously believe that there's a right and wrong, and then also blamed carnivores.
That's not a contradiction.
Yes, it is.
No, so outline how being agnostic to free will is a contradiction with believing in right and wrong.
How is it not a contradiction that you want to preserve sentient life, but you want to murder?
You literally
life?
just said you'd be in favor of killing Hitler to save 6 million Jews. It's the same exact principle. It's the same exact principle. So I would be in favor of killing, say, a lion to save 1,000 or so gazelle. Same exact principle. So again, what's the contradiction? If you're going to claim I'm contradicting myself, point out the contradiction.
I am pointing out the contradiction.
No, you're not.
The fact that yes, I am.
No, you haven't. You've just said I'm agnostic to free will, and then you talk about how you disagree with my opinion on killing carnivorous animals. That's not a contradiction. Those aren't directly opposing views.
All right, well, let me go with this. How did you decide that murder is wrong?
I have a preference against murder.
All right, so if everything is predetermined, how did you decide that murder is wrong?
I have a preference against murder.
And how did you decide it if you are agnostic to free will?
I don't know how that's relevant. I just told you I have a preference against murder.
Well, you can't be agnostic to free will and say, prove it to me when basically I said that, hey, I potentially free will exists. And by the way,
again, what's the contradiction?
But you can't be agnostic to free will, also acknowledge that something is wrong when there is also another choice, which would be right. You can't choose between two things if you're agnostic to free will.
So if somebody didn't have free will and they graped children, would you say what they're doing is wrong?
I'm not the one who said don't shift the conversation.
Right, okay, so you could acknowledge something's wrong whether or not somebody has agency.
Well, I'm asking you, how can you be agnostic to free will while also acknowledging that there is a right and wrong choice?
Okay, so that's not a contradiction for one thing. You still haven't pointed out the contradiction. And secondly, I just told you, it's based on my own set of preferences. So I don't like murder. That's why I'm against murder. How is that a contradiction against my belief that I'm not sure if free will exists?
The murderer.
Sorry?
Because you want to murder the murderer?
Yeah, to prevent more murders.
Free will. How can you be agnostic to free will? And
okay. Let's say we lived in a hypothetical universe where everything was predetermined. Nobody had any free will. In that universe, would you prefer to have a universe with fewer murders or more murders?
Conversation onto me. If you shift the conversation onto me, then you are conceding to the fact that
no.
If you are agnostic agnostic to free will,
No,
then
no, I'm just
no.
making a point. Do you like if I have a certain set of preferences, like I don't like murder, and I would
Can't make a
rather live
preference.
in a world where there's less murder, why would I not
How
choose the
did
world with less murder?
exactly the point. How did you choose that if there's no free will?
Yeah,
How do
so
you determine anything if there's no free will? You
what do you
can't
mean how
determine
do I
anything.
determine anything if there's no free will?
Okay, if you're agnostic to free will and everything is predetermined, it's in the statement. How did you determine anything? If it's
Well,
predetermined, how did you determine it?
it's basically like the pool analogy. So if you shoot a white ball into a set like a triangle of pool balls, that like just based on the physics, you'll know exactly where each ball is going to go on the pool table. It's basically the same thing. So my thoughts, feelings, emotions, my perception of right and wrong, all these things are just predetermined, and choice is an illusion. That's the basic argument in favor of determinism. So
All right, so then
again,
how do
how is it a
you choose what's
contradictory?
wrong?
How is it a contradictory position to be agnostic to whether or not free will exists and have a preference against murder?
Because you can't decide on a preference without free will.
I never
You
said
can't
I
decide.
decided on a preference.
Well, then how did you come up with your preference? Enlighten me. How
I
did you
just
choose?
have that preference.
How?
What do you mean how? Like did you
How do
decide
you
every single
determine
one of your
preference?
preferences? Did you decide whether or not you like ice cream? Did you decide
I don't
whether or
know.
not you
You told me
like or dislike
agnostic to free
murder? Did
will.
you decide whether or not you like or dislike grape?
You're the one who said you're agnostic to free will.
Sorry, sorry,
So go
sorry.
answer
So
me.
your preferences to a significant degree are predetermined, like your sexual preferences. Did you choose your sexual preferences?
I have no idea. You tell me. I'm still waiting for
Did
you to
you or
tell me.
did you not choose your sexual preferences?
How are you agnostic to free will if there is like how did you determine your
What is like
preferences?
again, what is
On
the
what
contradiction?
basis?
It doesn't
On what
matter how I
basis?
came to my preferences. Like, and
Yes, it does.
I just told
Yes,
you,
it does.
like choice could very well be an illusion. You may not have a choice. So whether or not I perceive there to be a choice for my preferences, there may not be a choice. It's just a
So
perception
you're
of
okay.
choice.
So you're okay with murdering sentient beings who may or may not have a choice?
Yes. Like again, if let's just assume we
That
live in a
doesn't sound
let's just
good.
assume we lived in a predetermined universe, what would be your preference? A world with more murder or a world with less murder? A world with more grape or a world with less grape? Doesn't matter if choice exists or not. I have a certain set
Yes,
of preferences that I want to see.
yes, it does. If it's a predetermined world, there is no choice.
Okay, so if there was no choice, you'd be in favor of letting people murder each other, letting people grape each other, letting people torture each other because, well,
I
there's
never
no
said that.
choice.
I never said that. I'm asking your
Well,
contradiction here, which
that's
is
what.
the fact that you
Like
said you're
again, what's the
agnostic to free
contradiction?
will.
Show me the contradiction.
You said you're agnostic to free will.
That's not a contradiction. You have to have two opposing viewpoints at the same time. What just because you disagree with my position on free will, that's not a contradiction. A contradiction implies there has to be two opposing beliefs that you hold at the same time. What are the two opposing
Yes,
beliefs?
the fact that you have a preference, which by the way means that you are choosing a
A
preference.
you
This
can't
doesn't
choose.
pop out
Okay,
of
so
nowhere.
you can't choose all preferences. And again, it's assumed in a deterministic universe that choice is an illusion. So I like did you like again, did you choose your sexual preferences? Did you choose to be attracted to men or women?
I don't know. You tell me. You're the one who said
Well,
that
okay,
you're agnostic.
wait. If you're saying you can choose your preferences, then why can't you choose your sexual preferences?
I don't know. You
Right.
tell me.
So what you said is nonsense. You can't choose your preferences, at least not all of them. So again, what is the contradiction?
You can choose whether or not you murder a carnivorous animal.
Well, you're assuming that. I don't know if it's a choice. It may be an illusion of a choice, but I do know that I have a preference against murder, and based on that preference, I would prefer to have carnivorous animals murdered to prevent more murders. So again, what is the
All right.
contradiction?
So overall, How can you be in favor of rights violations if you're in favor of violating the rights of carnivorous animals?
Okay, are you again? Do you not like the idea of killing other human beings?
No, I don't like the idea of killing
Okay,
other
but you
human
just
beings.
but you said earlier a few minutes ago that you would kill Hitler to prevent him from killing 6 million Jews. So does that make you a hypocrite? Or are there another set of values that actually explains why you'd be in favor of killing Hitler? Like again, you're
There
just
is.
being
Yeah, there
thick-headed
is,
and
because I have a different
disingenuous.
set of moral
So
values
again,
than you.
what is the contradiction? You keep claiming I made a contradiction. What is the contradiction? Spell it out. It should only take you one sentence. It's easy. You've made a contradiction. You said in our previous debate, here's an example of a contradiction. You claimed that mental capacity both does and doesn't grant a human being a right to life. That is an example of a contradiction you made in our previous debate. So again, that's all you have to do for me. Show me a contradiction that I hold an opposing viewpoint. I both believe and don't believe X.
You can't be against murder, but also be in favor of it at the same time. That is a contradiction.
So you contradicted yourself?
No, because I have a different definition of what murder actually is.
No, I'm sorry. We're going by the same definition of murder, I'm quite sure. Unlawful killing.
Unlawful killing. Yeah, so by
Right.
the definition of murder, unlawful can have different you can have a different moral standing on what is unlawful and what is not.
Well, again, this is question begging. So you already know that I hold the position that animals should have the same rights as human beings. So that's just question begging.
So if animals should have the same rights. So if animals should have the same rights as human beings, you should put all beavers and ducks in jail because they grape each other naturally.
Maybe, but that would again like annihilate that species if the only way they reproduce is by graping each other.
And you would be annihilating all carnivorous animals if you were to kill them.
Yeah, yes, and that would prevent a greater degree of rights violations. In the grape analogy, I'm not convinced that would prevent a greater degree of rights violations. Like, I would prefer a species to grape each other than get completely wiped off the planet if their overall well-being is adequate. So again, what is the contradiction? I keep asking you and I never get an answer. What is the contradiction?
You're creating a perpetual cycle of violence.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No. So are you creating a perpetual cycle of violence when you kill Hitler to prevent 6 million Jew deaths?
Murder to stop murder is a contradiction, and murder, as defined, is unlawful killing. I don't define unlawful killing by carnivorous acts by animals. I don't.
That's question begging.
Carnivorous animals do as murder.
That is question begging. You already know my position, so that's just question begging.
I don't define what carnivorous animals do as murder.
That's great, and I do. So that's question begging. Do you understand what question begging is?
Yes,
you're making a premise that assumes the truthfulness of the conclusion. You're basically saying it isn't murder because it isn't murder. And again, we've gone over this. If you disagree with my definition of murder, that it's possible for either a human being or an animal to murder another animal, then name the trait. Name the trait that's lacking in animals that if lacking in humans, it would not be murder if a human or an animal were to kill that trait equalized human.
You can't be in favor of protecting rights by violating rights.
Yeah, so you literally just proved you can. So you would be violating the rights of Hitler, but you would be protecting a greater degree of rights by killing Hitler. So you literally just proved we can. We take away rights all the time. We put criminals in jail because it's in the interest of protecting a greater degree of rights and freedoms. So you're wrong, and you proved with your own words that you're wrong. So again, if you're going to disagree with me that you can murder an animal, then name the trait. Name the trait that's lacking in animals that if lacking in a trait equalized human being, it would not be murder to kill that trait equalized human being.
All right, so You're kind of dodging the question here.
No, I'm
How are you
not.
okay-
No, I've answered all your questions, so it seems that we have a fundamental disagreement here on what constitutes murder, and that seems to be why you think I'm contradicting myself.
No, you haven't. How are
So
you okay with murder? How are you okay with murdering carnivores? Answer the question. Why are you okay with it?
I already answered that, I think about 20 times now. It's because it prevents a greater degree of rights violations. For the same reason you'd want to kill Hitler to prevent him from killing 6 million Jews, I want to kill carnivorous animals for that to prevent them from killing their prey species. So, again,
All right, so
if you're going to
first of all-
disagree with my definition of murder, then name the trait that's lacking in animals that if lacking in a trait equalized human being, it would not be murder to kill that trait equalized human being.
First of all, there are more carnivores than herbivores on this planet, so therefore, if you were to kill carnivores or cull them, you would be violating more rights.
So I specifically mentioned odd order predators in our previous debate. So predators that have a lower population than prey species.
Okay. Let's see. So you would be okay with destroying ecosystems then?
Well, it depends on the ecosystem. You wouldn't necessarily be destroying an ecosystem by taking out certain carnivorous animals, like the wolves in Yellowstone would be a good example of that.
Actually, that's a really horrible example because they reintroduced wolves to Yellowstone because of the way that it was destroyed, because of the way that the
Yeah, so you
ecosystem was
didn't read the follow-up paper, did you? The authors of the original paper retracted their original paper and said they were wrong about everything. Wolves were not impacting the environment at all. Actually, poaching was, and natural changes in climate and weather. So you didn't read the
And
follow-up paper,
so-
did you?
You're also failing to mention.
So you didn't read the
bobcats,
follow-up paper, did you?
beavers.
So you didn't know that the authors retracted their original paper, right? They disavowed their original paper. You didn't know that, huh?
And so you're just going
So
to
I'm
ignore
so
the-
I'm not wrong about the wolves in Yellowstone.
Opposite.
So you will you admit that I wasn't wrong about the wolves in Yellowstone? So again, the wolves in Yellowstone, they were not affecting the behavior of elk. They were not contributing to the growth of flora and fauna. They were not reducing elk populations, only poaching was. This was stated by the authors who disavowed their original paper. So I wasn't wrong about the wolves in
Then pull
Yellowstone?
up the paper. Then pull up the paper. I want to see the paper.
Let me see. I can do a quick Google search, but Wolves, Yellowstone, authors, disavow original paper.
And if it was poaching, then wouldn't that be another source of killing?
Sorry?
If there was poaching involved, isn't that another
Yeah,
source of
so
killing?
only poaching was actually reducing the elk population, not
What
whatchamacall.
about What about
Give
seasonal
me a second. I
changes?
think I actually have this on Discord.
Isn't poaching illegal?
Yeah, it is, but that was the only thing that was actually reducing the wolf population, and or sorry, not the wolf population, the deer population. So I can link this to you in chat if you want to read it.
And what about the beavers too? Because the wolves also helped out with the beavers.
No.
From what I read.
So once the beavers left, the wolves had it. You have to read the paper, but reintroducing wolves didn't reintroduce beavers. So you can read that. Again, so you said that killing an animal is not murder. So name the trait that's lacking in animals that, if lacking in human beings, would make it not murder to kill trait equalized human beings. Like, you seem to think that's a contradiction of some sort.
So what exactly?
You're not answering the question. So you said I'm wrong about it being murder to kill animals. So again,
Well, first of
if it's
all,
not murder, then I want to know what principles you decide what and isn't what is and isn't murder. So name the trait that's lacking in animals that, if lacking in human beings, would make it not murder to kill trait equalized human beings.
well, first of all, it doesn't necessarily make a ton of sense what you're saying because carnivorous animals
Yeah,
consume
so
other
can you answer my question? I've been answering your questions for like the last 20 minutes.
Carnivorous animals consume other species.
That's not a trait, and we consume other species, so...
All right, so I don't consider that murder.
Okay, but I asked you to name the trait. Like, you consider it murder for me to kill you, but you wouldn't consider it murder for me to kill any other animal,
Well,
like a
first
chicken.
of all, if you're killing me, you're just leaving my body on the side of the road.
I could eat you. I could eat you.
That's cannibalism. Cannibalism
Okay.
is not the same thing as a carnivorous act. Unless
Yes,
you're
it
willing
is.
to.
You,
No,
you
it's
think
not.
you think carnivorous
Cannibalism
animals
is
don't
not
eat each other? You can find examples of wolves eating each other. There's plenty of insects that
Times
commit cannibalism.
times need. And cannibalism is the act of an organism consuming another organism of the same species, and it's
Yes.
usually only done in a time of need. Now, a carnivorous
No.
act is when an animal
No,
consumes another animal that doesn't necessarily always mean that it's
No, so
cannibalism.
spiders normally commit cannibalism, and it's not in an act of need.
Yes,
So, like,
that's
female spiders will eat.
cannibalism.
That's not in a time of need.
All right, so
There are human
I said it's
cultures.
sometimes.
Wait. There are human
said it's
cultures that
sometimes.
kill and eat other human beings, not out of need, but out of cultural beliefs. They believe that there's the belief that you're getting the energy or soul essence from another human being. They do it as an act of respect
All right, so
for the
as I
dead.
said,
So
it's
there's
sometimes an act of
there's various reasons for why a species, including the human species, would commit cannibalism. So
All right, so
again,
as I
I
said,
could
it's
kill and eat you. What's your
sometimes an act.
issue with that?
The fact that it's of the same organism.
So you think
So
spiders
it's
are doing something
sometimes.
wrong by committing cannibalism?
Stop interrupting me.
I've been answering your questions for 20 minutes, and you won't answer a single question from me. So I don't really care if I'm interrupting
Yeah.
you. So do you
Cannibalism
think
is
spiders are doing
inherent.
something wrong by committing cannibalism? You just have something fundamentally wrong. Like, you think cannibalism is just fundamentally wrong, so spiders are immoral?
I'm not saying that spiders are immoral because I don't know what the spider's morals are. How am
So-
I supposed to know that?
Sorry, you don't know what the spider's morals are, and that's why you don't know whether or not spiders are doing something wrong. So if you didn't know
Yeah,
a
why
child
would I
molester's
say-
morals, you wouldn't say the child molester is doing something
We're
wrong?
different species. That's the issue, is that I'm not two different species from a child's, you know what, and a spider. I'm two different species from a spider. I can't talk to the spider.
Okay,
how am I
you can't talk to a pedophile who speaks an entirely different language, so would you be agnostic on whether or not the pedophile is doing something wrong because you don't understand his moral views?
Well, I'm the same species as that other human being.
The fuck
That's
does that
the
matter?
difference.
You just claimed that not understanding somebody else's morals is
Yeah,
what
it
makes you
does matter.
agnostic.
That does matter because you have completely different biology. Biology matters.
Okay,
you're
I don't think biology matters when you're talking about graping children. So again, can you name the trait that's lacking in animals, that if lacking in human beings, killing that trait equalized human being would not be murder?
You're dodging my question. The fact that we are
No,
different
I've
species-
answered every single one of your questions, and you're dodging my question, so I've asked you this about 10 times now. Can you name the trait? Since you disagree with me on the definition of murder, can you name the trait?
The fact that it's not murder. The fact
That's
that it's
question
an animal-
begging. So that's question
animal.
begging. You're question begging again. So I asked you to name the trait.
It's a carnivorous act.
Sorry?
It's a carnivorous act. It's a carnivorous act. That's
So
not
you're
cannibalism.
okay with killing so long as you eat your murder victim?
No, because that's cannibalism. I'm not okay
Okay,
with it.
so what does cannibalism have to do with this?
The fact that it's not murder, in my eyes. It's not the same
Cannibalism
sort of thing.
is not murder. What? I'm sorry, but you are okay with killing animals, and you don't see
It's
that
a
as
crime
murder.
in and of itself.
Sorry? So
A carnivore eating another animal is an animal eating another animal of a different species, and it needs to be done for that carnivore to survive. So I don't believe that that's committing murder.
Okay, so if something's done in a survival context, it's not murder?
So you would say that self-defense killings are murder?
No. So that's
That's
trying
what you're
to protect
arguing.
your no. So that's trying to protect your own freedom and liberty.
So carnivores are trying to protect their own freedom
No,
and
they're
liberty
not.
by eating their animal.
No,
Yeah, they
they're
are.
not. They're just trying to sustain themselves. So, do you think there's
Yeah,
a difference
sustain themselves.
between wait. Do you think there's a difference between being attacked by somebody and the only way of defending yourself is by using lethal force versus you attacking that person so that you can eat them?
So the right to life means nothing. They don't have a right to life because they literally should just die off, in your opinion.
Yes. If you have to commit murder.
And
So let me ask you this. Like, let's say if xenomorphs were a thing, like, have you ever seen the Alien franchise?
yeah.
So if xenomorphs were a thing, the only way they could breed and reproduce was by killing and eating human beings. Would you not be in favor of killing off xenomorphs?
That's an unrealistic ask.
Here we go. So I'll ask you again. If xenomorphs were real or some sort of natural predatory animal that preyed upon human beings and they needed human beings to exist, would you not be in favor of making that species extinct to protect yourself and other human beings?
You're using scientific fiction versus scientific fact. You're not God, and you can't decide.
Oh my God. So again, are you or are you not against killing off predatory animals that would prey against human beings?
That's akin to a deer or an elk butting up against a wolf to try to defend itself. I mean, that's just the animal trying to survive.
Right.
It's literally self-defense.
Right.
So,
right.
all right.
So if you'd be in favor of killing off xenomorphs to save the human species, what is the issue with killing off wolves to save deer?
We're not wolves. We're not the elk.
Right.
We're not elk.
Right. So right, we're not, but we're in the same situation as them.
No,
we're in the same situation as them. So we would be in the same situation as them. So if you're okay with making a species extinct to protect humans, what is the issue with making another species extinct to protect deer?
I never said it was okay to make the species extinct. I said that it was okay for self-defense.
So you would be in favor of letting xenomorphs exist to kill human beings, but you wouldn't want to make them extinct.
Why would I try to make something extinct?
Well, because they're going to kill human beings. So if there were xenomorphs that existed, you would want them to exist so that you, in the future, they would kill more people.
And on what grounds do you think that it's okay that you decide what animals live and what animals are more important and what animals deserve
the
life?
Ground is I don't like murder. I have a preference against murder. So if by killing these animals I can prevent more murders, I will be in favor of killing those animals. That's the grounds. So again, I don't understand how this is unreasonable. Like, you would be in favor of allowing xenomorphs to exist? You wouldn't want to make them extinct? You don't want xenomorphs running around and killing people?
So why do you have authority over which animals live and die?
So would you or would you not be in favor of allowing xenomorphs to exist, knowing they would inevitably kill human beings?
What makes you think that you have more authority?
So you're not answering my question. Would you or would you not be in favor of killing xenomorphs, making them extinct to prevent them from killing human beings?
Do you believe that humans are above
Would
animals?
you or would you not be in favor of killing xenomorphs, making them extinct to prevent them from killing human beings?
In self-defense.
So you wouldn't want to make them extinct. You'd want to make sure that there's still some around so they can kill human beings, but hopefully, somebody's carrying a gun on them. Is that your position?
Stop talking about scientific fiction. Let's talk about
We're talking about moral principles. So you have them. You seem to. No. I'm seeing a contradiction here because you're against killing off a species like wolves to protect deer, but you wouldn't apply the same principle to humans. So
no, because we're not some higher being. If there was another higher being who was looking down on Earth saying, oh, here's xenomorphs eating humans, I am this other separate human being. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily want them to be the ones saying, oh yeah, we're just going to make this entire species extinct just because they're eating another animal that I like.
So let me ask you, if we developed like space travel and we saw another species that was highly intelligent like us, maybe they're like closely related to apes or something, and you saw those highly intelligent creatures that have like developed societies getting preyed upon by some like alien monster creature, you wouldn't want to make that alien monster creature extinct?
Do you believe that you're judge, jury, and executioner for all life on Earth or something?
What the hell does this have to do with anything? Like, I'm against murder. Do you think you're judge, jury, and executioner for Nazis? Like, Nazis were preying on Jews. Are you judge, jury, and executioner? Who are you to say Nazis are wrong? Like, yes, I have my own set of preferences. I don't think other species should murder each other. So, what's the issue?
And who are you to make that choice for them?
What do you mean, who am I? I just said I have my own set of preferences. Like, I'm sorry? You're in favor of letting other creatures murder other creatures?
If it means murdering off 63% of all life on this planet when they can't...
I never said I'm in favor of killing off 63% of life on the planet. I only mentioned odd order predators. Like
chunk of life on the planet. You want to make animals extinct just because they kill other animals?
Yes. And again, what is the issue with that? Like again, the whole impetus or point of this debate was to point out a contradiction. You still haven't shown a contradiction. I've been very clear and consistent with my moral beliefs. You just seem to have a problem with them. You seem to think that murder's a good thing and we should just let species infinitely kill other species.
I never said that murder is a good thing. And do you even know what the balance of an ecosystem even means? It means that no one species is taking over. There's a reason why we can have apex predators in an ecosystem and the herbivores don't take over. There's a reason why. They don't go extinct.
So again, you can look at the example of wolves in Yellowstone Park. The only thing that reduced the elk population was human poaching. So humans illegally hunting elk. Wolves did not do that. Predatory animals actually, for the most part, are extremely unsuccessful with hunting, and they don't usually control prey populations. So that's a really weird claim to make. And again, would you be in favor of some sort of species killing off human beings if it were the case that it would reduce like the human population? Like you could argue that we're overpopulated. Do you think we should introduce some sort of like monster to Earth so that they could kill off humans so we're not overpopulating?
You're completely ignoring what I'm trying to ask, and you're just asking me questions based on science fiction. So honestly,
we're talking about moral principles, and I'm trying to understand your moral principles by asking these hypothetical questions, and you just refuse to answer. Doesn't matter if it's like a science fiction question.
Answer my question.
What?
In regards to what makes you... Oh my God.
What question?
What gives you the right to have to instill your morals on another species of animal?
Well, I don't even understand how to answer that question. We all do that. We all impose our moral values on other people, on other animals. So, like, you kill and eat animals. Who the fuck are you to say that? Dude, like, you have more fucking blood on your hands than I do. I don't kill any animals. You're the one taking innocent animals that are herbivorous, that don't kill other animals, and murdering them, and then you're telling me, who are you to do this? Like, you have more blood on your hands. Hypocrite? Who are you? Like again, if we're gonna ask this question, who are you to kill animals? Who are you to say, I'm more important than this species, so I'm going to systematically murder them so that I can have, chicken, so that I can have eggs, so that I can have a steak every once in a while? Who are you to say that? What gives you the right?
You define sentience and life by
what gives you the right? What gives you the right to kill other animals? What gives you the right to kill innocent animals?
You literally define
what gives you the right? What gives you the right to kill animals? What gives you the right to kill animals? Like if you're going to criticize me for wanting to make carnivorous animals extinct, what gives you the right?
Just stop. It's fine. Look, this debate's going nowhere. You guys are just fucking talking over each other the whole time, and no one's actually getting to hear either side.
Yeah, no, this debate is going somewhere. She's just looking stupid, and that's why you're butting in.
I hate to break it to you. You're just talking over her, not letting her talk, going, no. She said she got to talk for 20 minutes and asked me questions. She got to talk for 20 minutes, and I answered all of her questions respectfully. No, you did it.
And now she's dodging, and not answering my questions.
What is she dodging?
So she accused me of imposing my moral values on other species, and she's claiming that's wrong. She's imposing her moral values on other species, and I say that's wrong. So that's hypocritical.
So
how is she going to criticize me for imposing my moral views on other species when she's doing that exact thing?
Okay. All right. So the thing is that I acknowledge the fact that life on this earth is meant to go towards other life. That's how I see it. And the reason being is because I also acknowledge that I believe, based off of what I know of biology and what I know of sentience, that anything that can conduct an action potential in response to environmental stimuli is feeling something, is a sentient.
No.
You're
talking about intelligence.
He's going against.
All right, then define intelligence. No. Define intelligence. Define intelligence for me, then.
So intelligence is the ability to react to stimuli. You could define.
All right, and how do you react to
as that.
stimuli? How do you react to stimuli? How do you react?
Well,
to stimuli?
you can react to stimuli in a variety of ways. It doesn't require a consciousness.
Gotcha.
Would you say your computer is conscious?
I mean, some of them are. Yeah, that's what AI is.
No, AI is not conscious. They haven't developed a conscious AI yet.
God.
Can you show me? Well, wait. This would be a massive, miraculous breakthrough. Can you show me a peer-reviewed paper proving that an AI has become conscious or sentient?
No, here.
Show me a peer-reviewed paper.
Biological definition of a sentient cell, and here I can read it out for you right now. Sentience is defined, or a sentient cell is defined as actively perceiving environmental information and making cognitive decisions essential for survival in the face of an ever-changing and challenging planetary environment. Now, based on this definition, we know that
you're okay. I don't know how sentience is being used in this paper, but that's not the philosophical definition of sentience.
All right, well, you're arguing philosophically.
Yeah, we're talking about philosophy. We're talking about morals.
No, we're not. We're talking about science.
No, we're talking about moral values.
Is science.
I don't know. Can you read me the definition again, please?
Here, I'll just paste it in here. And you can do Command F.
Just copy the definition, maybe.
And based off of this, we also know that
actively perceive environmental information and make cognitive decisions. Yes. That is literally the same definition of sentience I am using. It's a slightly more complex. So wait, actively perceive environmental information and make cognitive decisions essential for their survival in the face of an ever-changing and challenging planetary environment. So that is literally just the ability to have a subjective experience.
Yes, so at base level, being able to have a subjective experience is interpreting stimuli. Now, You
No.
have C. elegans
No.
worms. You've got
No. No.
tobacco
No.
hookworms. You've got plants
No.
which can change
No.
directions and
First of
growth.
all, this doesn't even look like the entire definition. Did they mention sentient specifically?
Yeah, sentient cells.
What do you mean sentient cells? Can you show me a peer-reviewed paper that a single cell is sentient?
Because a cell reacting to its environment and being able to change in the face of that.
You
That
literally
is
gave
what
me a
sentient is.
definition that used the word perceive and cognitive in the definition. A cell is not perceiving something or having a cognitive
All right,
ability
so
to
a
perceive anything.
plant. Oh, okay. So going back to base level here, what is sending a signal cognitively? How does that happen?
Well, I understand that there's individual cells that are responsible for consciousness, but consciousness
does
is
that
something that is an emergent property of a complex system. It's not like no one single part of your brain is conscious. Like no single cell in your brain is conscious. It's the sum of the parts that make the consciousness.
All right, so what would you define biologically as a being that has consciousness?
There's no
And
way
sentient.
to define it. You either have it or you don't. Like again, a computer system
So
could
you
in
define it by
theory
your own.
a,
So you
a
define it by
computer
how
system
you are
in theory
conscious.
could be conscious. It doesn't need to be biological. But again, show me a peer-reviewed paper that recognizes a single cell as being sentient. Like there's a debate as to whether or not a fetus is sentient within a given stage of gestation. So how the hell are you claiming a single cell is conscious?
Because the current definition of sentience in philosophy right now is based off of the human experience. If you want animals and humans to share equal rights, you also have to acknowledge that there are animals that do have subjective experiences that don't technically are defined by human consciousness and human sentience. So for example, what I
It's
showed
not,
before
so the
was
definition of philosophy is not defined by human consciousness. It is any consciousness, anything that is able to have a subjective experience.
so what
It's
is the
not
subjective
defined by
experience?
human consciousness.
So what is a subjective experience?
A mind dependent experience. Subjective just means
So you have
mind
to have a
dependent.
brain. So you need a
No,
brain?
you have to have a mind. A mind could be anything. A mind could be a complex computer system.
So then, as you said before, a computer can be conscious. Or
It could in theory, but what does that have to do with what we're talking about?
the fact that you believe that certain life forms on this planet are sentient and conscious while other ones are not, despite the fact that they still respond and they still send signals in response to their environment and have subjective experiences.
So plants can react intelligently to stimuli. That doesn't mean they're conscious. Just like how your computer can react intelligently, we can create AI algorithms. That doesn't mean they're conscious.
So how exactly do you know that they're not conscious if you don't know exactly how they're feeling? You don't know if the action potentials that are being sent through their roots and through their
We
leaves
have to make inferences, and based on the inferences we've made so far, there's no evidence that plants are conscious.
based on the human experience. Based on the human experience.
No, it's not just specifically based on the human experience. There's a variety of inferences that we can make.
Go right ahead. What inferences?
Okay, sure. They lack neurons. They lack nociceptors. They don't have any nerve ganglia. That's not just humans. That's also other animals. They also, like, at a very basic level, like, again, their ability to react to certain stimuli is extremely limited. So, they, like, if you touch certain plants, like their leaves might contract or shrivel up.
What about the plants that know how to scream?
Sorry?
What about the plants that were found to scream?
They don't scream. There's no plants that scream. That was an article made by The Guardian where they used that colloquial term to describe basically pheromones getting released.
All right, so how do you know?
Can you show me, like, again, can you show me a peer-reviewed paper that actually says plants can scream? You can't.
Because again, the original source for that is a mainstream media article. I believe it was The Guardian that originally posted that said plants can scream, and they were referencing a paper that just talked about plants sending out pheromones to warn other plants of a certain danger, and they colloquially used the term they're screaming to warn other plants of danger, but that's not what's happening. They just release certain chemicals to tell other plants that, hey, there's this thing going on.
That's quite literally what responding to your environment is. And what about
that's different. So responding to your environment is different than sentience, which is a mind-dependent experience. You can react to something without a mind.
So if there's no mind, so what do you define as mind? As a mind?
Again, a mind is something that can have a subjective experience. It's something that can perceive something cognitively. I don't know how to reduce that definition down any further. Like you're talking about something completely different. You're talking about reacting to stimuli. That is, you do not need a mind to react to stimuli. There are people who are completely brain dead. Wait. There are people who are completely brain dead who will react to stimuli. You can like pinprick their toes and their nervous system will move. That doesn't mean a mind is making their body move. That's just their nervous system.
So reflexive abilities is not indicated of reacting to stimuli. That's a reflex. That's completely different. Also, just what I'm trying to get at is that all cognitive processes and all
that literally is reacting to stimuli. A reflex is something that reacts to stimuli.
That's an involuntary reaction.
Yes.
That's not voluntary. I'm talking
Can voluntary. You prove that plants voluntarily do anything? Like,
yeah, they do.
It's reflexive.
They'll change their direction and how they grow in response to the sun.
Yeah, that's reflexive. Do you have any? Can you show me a peer-reviewed paper proving that plants think cognitively the sun is in this direction, I will move in this direction? It's reflexive. They will always do the same thing every single time because it's reflexive. And again, a reflexive action is a reaction to stimuli. Like you keep changing the definition of words every time I show some sort of contradiction or exception.
All right. So
like I would like to know the root point of why we're even talking about this. Like what point are you trying to get to? You are criticizing me for thinking I have some sort of God complex that I can somehow control nature when you're the one paying for animals to be murdered so that you can have chicken. Like, do you not see that as a contradiction? Like, how do I have a God complex when you think you can control nature, you can control animals, and you can decide who lives and who dies? Like, is that not a contradiction?
All right, so sentience, as defined by biology, is actively perceiving environmental information.
Perceiving. You need a mind to perceive something, so you literally just used a definition that relies on a mind.
Depolarization of neurons. It's literally just depolarization of. It's depolarization and action potentials. That's what that is. You can't perceive environmental information without an action potential, and you don't need a neuron to have an action potential.
Wait, so you're saying a battery is sentient? A battery has action potential. Sorry?
In response to environmental stimuli.
Right, a battery has action potential, and when you hook a battery up to a circuit, it's
organisms. I'm not.
Why would that have to? Why would that be specific to organisms? You just said action potential.
Because cells are still living. You can't deny the fact that plants have DNA. You can't deny.
So you're saying a computer system could never achieve sentience because they're not living? They don't have a metabolism? You just said that a computer could be sentient. Now you're saying they can't be sentient because they're not living. It has to be biological.
Biologically speaking, I'm talking about literal organisms. And actively perceiving environmental information.
Perception requires a mind.
And a mind is quite literally just action potentials through neurons. And it doesn't have to be through a neuron.
Okay, if you think a single neuron can perceive things, then that means if you sever your finger and you put an electrode through it and your finger twitches, you think your finger is perceiving anything?
That's a reflex. It's actively perceiving
I don't understand how a reflex would matter.
To survive. It's actively perceiving information to survive in an ever-changing environment.
I'm sorry. So if something is perception, like, again, this is question begging. If you're adding the word perception, then you are making a premise that assumes the truthfulness of the conclusion. So it's just question begging again. That's just a bad definition.
No, it's not. It's okay. So an organism who is responding to the environment and changing itself in order to survive, that is what I define as a sentient.
I would like you to make a formalized syllogism of this, like make an argument in favor of the idea that like a single neuron can be sentient. Make a formalized syllogism.
A single neuron isn't trying to change its environment to survive.
Okay, 2 neurons, 3 neurons, 4 neurons? How many neurons?
An organism that is responding to an environment, and then changing whatever it's doing to survive.
That's is what you define as sentience.
An organism that is responding to environmental information and then making a decision to survive and changing its course in some sort of way.
Decision is analytically linked to having a mind. So again, this is question begging. I'm saying that you can't, like, I'm saying.
Then biologically define a mind.
Anything that can have a subjective experience. It can be anything, okay, but every time you define, every time you try to explain that something has a mind, it's question begging.
All right, so then a C. elegans worm turning around from a string, which is it feels it. That's a subjective experience.
Feeling is analytically linked to having a mind. So, like, I don't know what a C. elegant is. I don't even know why the hell this even matters. Like, can you just make your point?
Microorganism. Because it's a microorganism.
Okay, how about you just make your point? I'm kind of tired of arguing over the definition of sentience.
The fact that you are deciding what has a mind and what is conscious as a living organism, and I'm speaking within living organisms. You're deciding what is sentient and what has a consciousness, and then deciding which ones deserve life, which ones don't deserve life, based off of their nature and their biology.
Weird, kind of like how you do that when you kill animals for your food choices, right?
Well, I acknowledge that carnivorous acts are natural and are something that is a part of life.
Okay, so something is natural, therefore it's morally acceptable?
No, that's not what I said.
Okay, so what point are you making here?
The fact that for a carnivorous animal to survive, that they need meat. So,
okay.
I don't believe.
Okay, and if a xenomorph needed to kill and eat human beings to survive, you would want xenomorphs to kill and eat human beings?
All right, so this conversation is going nowhere because you are quite literally just bringing up science.
This conversation is going nowhere because you refuse to answer questions that you know lead to a contradiction. So
because you are quite literally
if you're in favor of allowing carnivorous animals to live on the basis of them needing to kill to survive, if there was a predatory species that needed to kill humans to survive, would you be in favor of them killing human beings? Right, by run away because you know this leads to a contradiction. Just run away.
No, because you're talking about
run away
sci-fi.
because you know this leads to a contradiction. You lost the debate, so you might as well just quit now while you're ahead. So again, it's a simple question to answer. If the basis for which... Yeah, there you go. Bye-bye. Coward. Absolute fucking loser coward. I knew it. So, again, if the basis for which she believes carnivorous animals should be allowed to live is the fact that they need to eat meat to survive, then if there was a predatory species that was killing human beings and they needed to kill human beings to survive, so a xenomorph, for instance, she would be in favor of xenomorphs killing and eating humans. She would just say, yeah, kill me. You need to kill and eat me to survive. She wouldn't answer that question because she knows that would lead to a contradiction. She would say, well, no, I would actually be in favor of killing off xenomorphs, to save human beings. And then, again, that would probably lead to her having to name the trait, because she'd say, oh, well, humans are unique. Like, we're a unique species, so it's okay for us to kill other species for our survival, but it's not okay for us to kill other species for another species' survival. And then I just run her down, name the trait. So name the trait that's lacking in animals, that if lacking in human beings, it would be okay to allow a predatory species to kill human beings. And then she'd mention something stupid like cognitive capability. So, okay, she'd be okay with killing mentally disabled people. But that was cowardly. She just totally rage quit because she knew I caught her in a contradiction and she was just being stupid. So, yep. That is that. I guess we'll just continue along with the regularly scheduled programming. I like, that was baffling too. I had to ask her like 100 times, what is the contradiction? And she couldn't name a contradiction. She has to be the most dense person I've ever debated. Like, she literally just did not get it. And again, her definition of like a conscious creature was question begging, because I would ask her, how is a sea elegant sentient? And then she'd say like, oh, well, it doesn't have a mind, but it can perceive its environment. But like again, it's analytically linked that if you're perceiving something, you have a mind. It's really bizarre. I don't understand what she was talking about going down that line of reasoning. That was idiotic, though. Oh yeah, and her like simp ass boyfriend jumped in. You can't talk to her like that. Like, yeah, great job, dude. White knights, am I right? All right, let's look at some Israel-Palestine shit.
An order of battle are the units, formations, and equipment of a military force. Today, I'm...
Oh, let me debate you. I'm waiting in the waiting room. Sure. Hello? Do you hear me? Oh, wait, my fucking mic is fucked. I did a Windows update. Hello? And my mic settings are messed up. Hello? Do you hear me?
Hey man, yeah, I can turn on my cam if you want.
No, it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I just had a couple questions.
Sure.
Yeah, so if an ethical vegan who holds your views about carnivores, sorry, I'm pretty. I gotta take a breath here.
Yeah, it's fine.
Jesus Christ. Okay. As someone who holds your views about carnivores and that you're an ethical vegan, I was just wondering, like, shouldn't you eat carnivore animals?
Well, I'd be against it because of zoonotic disease transmission.
Oh, okay. So you're concerned about like the danger of it. So yeah. Would you be in favor for those calories being used for, the sustenance of other animals that are like,
Like, I mean, if you were to just say like cull coyotes, there are other animals that would end up eating those coyotes. So sure. I don't even see it as like a waste issue.
Okay, that's fair enough, I think. Okay, then I had a question about free will.
Sure.
I was just wondering, like, why? Like, first of all, well, I guess I'll just ask, what do you think is mandatory for like that has to exist so that free will can exist?
Well, just simply the ability to have choice.
Right,
Like
and the
again,
ability to have
the issue is there's no way of experimenting whether or not we have free will. The only way I could see, like maybe an experiment being able to prove that, is if we can run a simulation of our reality that's a perfect simulation, and we have a subject, like a simulation of yourself, and we put two different sandwiches in front of that simulation of yourself, and we give it an option to choose this sandwich or that sandwich, and we run that simulation over and over and over again the exact same way. If you end up having different choices, even though the exact setup of the simulation is exactly the same, so all the particles are everywhere all at the same time, your brain chemistry is exactly the same, and you have different choices each time, that would probably be the best evidence in favor of free will.
I think that would necessarily mean free will in some way exists. Like if in any of those simulations a different outcome happened. But I just feel that in order, even as a prerequisite for free will to exist, like you kind of need randomness at some point, or the ability for randomness to happen in our universe. And
I don't know, because randomness only implies randomness, not free will, right?
Oh yeah, I 100% agree with that. But I think that if the universe is purely deterministic, then randomness can't exist in that universe. Then free will can't exist in that universe. Therefore, I think there would be an argument.
Okay, you're saying you need the ability for particles to be randomized.
Yeah, I think so.
I see what you're saying.
I think so. No, I don't know if there's like a formal argument for that or not, but it's just kind of like, it's like an intuition.
It's something that's extremely difficult to prove. And right now, at least with today's technology, there's no way we can experiment.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. And then I had one more question, if that's okay.
Sure.
All right, it's about training, because I like to train as well.
Sure.
Yeah, I was wondering. Okay, there's a lot of dogma in training. Even like, I'm a big fan of Israel and all these exercise science guys. But you get to someone like Menno Henselmans, and although he's like a smart guy, he's just making like, he's just reading the studies and saying, oh yeah, this study said this, and like it's I don't know. Anyways, it's like almost propaganda. So anyways, I had this question: what would the adaptation to an untrained lifter be if their training was only axial loading? So I'll just put that there first, and then I'll just say one more thing. So if that person trained only axial loading without any movements, just loading his back or loading his spine, and he worked up to like being able to load 1,000 pounds on his back, what would that person look like? What would they have to look like? And is it possible to create an adaptation without even moving, like not doing any movements, loading your spine? Like the body would adapt, right?
Yeah, so they probably look sort of thick, so you would have to develop a lot of stabilizer muscle strength, like around your core. Your legs and like, again, most of your musculature would probably get a bit bigger, because even though there's no range of motion, it is static hold, and that does have a hypertrophic effect. So they wouldn't grow much, but they would grow a bit.
Okay. Yeah, anyways, I think, obviously I would have a lot more topics to like talk with you about, but that's just kind of what I thought of really quick. Yeah, that debate, by the way, was hilarious. Like that woman doesn't know logic. She's a complete idiot. But whatever, it's all good.
Yeah, it was fun anyway.
Anyways, I'd love to ask more questions, random questions in the future. So if that's possible, I don't know. But
yeah, you can maybe come by later.
All right. Okay. Take care, man.
All right.
Bye.
Take care. See ya.
So that's a scientist, huh? How could you not know blades of grass are sentient and are composed of millions of sentient cell minds, making up supergrass minds? I just sneezed and lost trillions of sentient booger cells. RIP to all those lost souls.
Yeah, I really don't know what she did a really bad job of explaining herself, because every time she tried to make a definition, it would either be question begging or like it would be a contradiction with something else she said. Like she said a computer can have a mind, and then she said a mind can only exist in like a biological being. It was really weird. And then when I asked her to like formalize a syllogism to like make an argument in favor of the idea that a single-celled organism can have a mind, like again, she wouldn't be able to formalize the syllogism. I don't think she understood what a formalized syllogism was, and she just ignored it because she didn't want to admit that she didn't know something. So she's clearly like a fucking narcissist or something. And again, she would just question beg again. She'd make an argument that assumed the truthfulness of the conclusion and said, well, a cell has a mind because it perceives things. Like, again, it's question begging. It's analytically linked that if you perceive something, you have a mind. But thanks for the donation, Quest.
I think she hates the xenomorph hypothetical because you're framing her contradiction in a way that challenges human superiority is a vivid way, since a predator like a xeno would displace humans on the food chain quite rapidly. It makes her uncomfortable.
Well, yeah, it's just a really good analogy that points out the contradiction. It just makes it obvious, and then she just ran away. Cowardly as shit, but thanks for the nation, Double Rainbow Penis. Hey, dude, what's up?
Hi. Give me like a second to like calm down. I'm a little nervous, admittedly.
Yeah, sure.
Basically, I'm here to talk and ask you questions about like your thoughts and more understanding, and maybe like my lack of understanding about like plant-based pet food, primarily for cats.
Yeah, shoot.
Since I know Gizmo is
Prismo.
living on a Prisma, right? My bad. Prisma's living on a plant-based diet. So I know it's entirely possible as long as the diet's properly formulated and everything. But rather, my question is having to do with the possibility of cats having not enough acidity in their urine.
Yeah.
Because so I was wondering if the diet that you're having him on has primarily stuff like cornmeal, which is high in sulfur, which helps raise that acidity in cat urine.
Yeah. Yeah, so there are certain formulations that are better at increasing acidity. We had Prismo on Evolution, and he was doing fine on that when he was a kitten, but after we neutered him, his urine pH went higher, became more alkaline. I don't know if the neutering had anything to do with that, but we noticed that after he was neutered, and we switched him to Benevo, and then the Benevo made his urine more acidic. So you might want to try different cat foods to see how it affects their urine pH, and you can use Pretty Litter. It's a cat litter that basically has pigments in it that will change color based on the urine pH. So you don't need to like stalk your cat, wait for them to take a piss, and then try to like aim one of those acidity testing strips under their like piss stream. It's like that's just too hard. So yeah, I'd recommend getting Pretty Litter. Yeah, so I'd recommend getting Pretty Litter to monitor that. And if you can't find a food that brings their urine pH down low enough, you can get a methionine supplement. You can get them anywhere. I've gotten them from Healthy Planet before, but Vigor, VG, is it? I link it.
Know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I link it in my video descriptions, so you can just click the link there. They sell a methionine supplement that helps to increase acidity of cat urine.
Okay, thank you. What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, the thing about you mentioned Prismo, the acidity issues, like where his pH was getting higher because of it likely was due to the neutering, because when you neuter an animal, the steroids that they have producing due to their like gonads, where in case of Prismo's case probably his balls, because I believe Prismo's a male cat.
Yeah, he's a boy.
Okay, so he's a gib now. I'm a pre-vet major, so that's why I kind of wanted to talk about it. I'm also vegan, but so I kind of have that space where I have a bit of a dilemma when it comes to the ethics of trying to get a cat on a plant-based diet, because preferably I would, and I know it's entirely possible. I just worry about like the possibilities of my cat getting like I believe kidney stones and stuff regarding like the acidity of its urine.
Yeah.
Because when that happens, cats bloat, and that's awful for them, and I want to prevent that, but I do want to have a cat one day.
Yeah, there was the recent paper. It was an owner-reported survey, but you don't really need a high standard of evidence for these things. Vegan cats did do better health-wise than cats fed a traditional diet, so...
Can you link me that, actually? I'm kind of curious. Like on reading it itself.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it. See if I can just quickly Google it. If I can't, find it, it's probably in Avi's Discord. Oh, here we go. Yeah, vegan versus meat-based cat food. Guardian reported health outcomes. Believe that's the one. And I'll just send it to you.
Okay, thank you, because I'm about to start panic searching it and fail miserably, possibly.
Huh?
But no. Oh, I was just trying to quickly Google it from the name you told me, because I was worried that you wouldn't send me the link. I don't know why.
Yeah, there's the link.
I panicked a little bit. Alright. Is it in the vegan posted links? Or where?
No, I just messaged it to you.
Oh. Oh, I just don't have a message request or anything.
Oh, okay. I can put it in tea time.
Okay. Thank you.
There you go.
What else did I want to say? I'm thinking what else I wanted to talk about. Right, I wanted to ask you about, like, I think somebody mentioned it earlier about culling predators and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I feel like, in part, culling predators is also a welfare issue for prey animals because of the impacts to the environment, which could ultimately, one, ruin the environment, but also, in longer term, put these animals in, like, states of starvation or something because of the lack of, like, control that is to...
It probably wouldn't. From what I've seen, most predators don't really significantly control the prey population.
Okay, because there was the whole situation with the Yellowstone Park where before they introduced wolves back into it, like a significant population, there was a whole issue with overgrazing and like...
Yeah, it's not true. The authors disavowed the original paper. They found that only poaching actually impacted the deer or elk population. Wolves barely killed any elk. They didn't even affect the grazing pattern or behavioral patterns of elk. And natural just climate change explained, the change to flora and fauna.
Okay, thank you. Because when I heard about that, like, a few years ago, I was, like, astonished by it, and also disappointed that they started to cull, like, wolf populations, not because of, like, their predation on, like, elk, but more just, like, it was sad to me that they were killing off wolves. And, like,
it is sad, but I think it's, you also have to have sympathy for the animals they eat.
Yeah, like, my kind of stance on it is that those animals don't have a better alternative for consumption. Unless we choose to spend funding on having wolves on plant-based diets, but that seems unrealistic, fairly.
Yeah, you can't put every single wolf in captivity.
Yeah, because that's also an ethics or a welfare issue.
Yeah.
Thank you. I didn't know that happened with the Yellowstone paper regarding like elk and stuff and their impacts on the environment, like post wolf reintroduction.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people don't.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, no problem.
I'm gonna stop bothering you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Take care. Yeah, sure.
When is the cage match against boyfriend? Yo, Jasmine, where you at? You should have jumped in. You think it would be a good idea to have a timer watermark on your debates so your opponents don't make clips out of context? Or make it a condition to debate you?
Well, she was recording the stream on her end, so I don't think there's any way to do that unless I have the only recording. But yeah, it would be good for them to have like some sort of timer so that you can see that they jump to different sections and they're taking it out of context. Thanks for the donation, though. Less is more. Yeah, what's up, dude? Hello?
What's going on, man? I was supposed to say hi to chat, and you too. That's about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
All right.
Take care.
Good stream.
Thanks,
Good stream and debate.
Thanks.
That girl was fucking retarded, dude. Oh my god.
Yeah, she was.
When she said, I was fucking dying in the background. I was like, holy shit, that's funny as hell.
Yeah, she's not bright. She's probably one of the dumber people I've debated.
All right. Good luck with the stream.
Yeah,
I'll
for
be
sure.
watching.
Take care. All right. I'm just gonna go take a piss real quick and get out. I'll be right back. Just gotta urinate. No fins. No fins. No. Jesus. Wait. Oh my god. Okay, Jesus. Yeah. I know you get excited. Ah! What the fuck? Jesus.
React to this, you will love it.
Alright, I shall do that for you, Dodo.
If Donald Trump does not win, what do you do?
I hope that I'm going to die.
You want to die if Donald Trump doesn't win?
I do. I don't want to live like this anymore. You like our country the way it is now?
I mean, it doesn't really matter what I think, but you've got a pretty good life. You got nice clothes on, you got hat on, sunglasses, you got your health. I mean, the country's done pretty well by you, right?
No, the country hasn't done anything by me. I've done everything for myself. My husband and I took care of ourselves as we grew older. Now, when we got ready to retire, we had planned what we were going to do. Now, what is the country doing for me now? Do I get any interest on anything that I put away and saved?
Well, your money is safe, right?
I wouldn't say that.
You got access to health care?
I have access to health care because my husband served 20 years in the military.
So the military did something for your family. The military is trustworthy, right? I mean, the military healthcare system's great.
No, I wouldn't say it's great. We were promised free health care for our whole life, but that did not happen.
What is it that is so bad about where America is or where you are right now with America?
Jet alert, and I tell her someone should make a video and VOD review and have a counter of how many times Vegan Gains answered a question and how many times she answered a Vegan Gains question. I'm sure there would be a huge disparity. Yeah, it was retarded. It seemed like she went into the debate with this like strategy that she would constantly be on the offensive and not give me like an opportunity to ask her like even any clarifying questions.
And it just made her seem like super evasive and dishonest. She's really not smart. Just massive, massive pseudo-intellectual. Finn, relax. It's time for Finn to lie down. Relax. He's stronger than he looks. Finn's actually really strong. Thanks for the donation, Jadler. No jumping. Just relax.
That you would want to die if Donald Trump doesn't win.
I just don't want to live in a country that is screwed up as this one, that people are so out of control and that they think that everything that they're entitled to everything. What do you think about the stealing that's going on right now?
What do you mean stealing?
People walk into stores and just can walk out with stuff.
Well, crime is a problem, but there's also a lot of places where people have to...
Crime is increasing every day.
Actually, the data shows it's not.
Well, I don't care what the data shows. You and I can't talk to each other because you have a totally different idea of what's going on than what I have.
So what do you trust?
This is bizarre.
I trust Donald Trump. I trust Donald Trump, and what really upsets me the most is everybody remembers that one little blip that Billy Bush put out there when he first started to run.
About grabbing the...
Yeah, that's the...
I mean, that was pretty memorable.
Well, why is that memorable?
Like, he later full-on admitted to a sexual assault. Like, how is that not important?
Well, why isn't it memorable the things that he did do?
Well, he's been indicted in 4 different cases and 91 criminal charges.
None of that stuff is true. You know it's not.
Jesus. Ben donated $2. Do you still support killing ducks to prevent duck rape? Jesus. Poor ducks. So, probably not. Again, that would, chances are, lead to a greater degree of rights violations, so... She thought that was going to be a gotcha, but that wasn't. Thanks for the donation, Ben.
I don't know whether it's true or not. I just know that... No, I just know that No, I'm just a journalist who sees that he's been in... I mean, so how do you explain all these charges? How do you explain all? What's going on?
They're all made up.
They're all made up.
Yep. They're all made up.
No.
So the election interference in Georgia, Sidney Powell and Kenneth Chesebro, who worked for Donald Trump as lawyers, they just pled guilty and admitted...
I don't believe that either.
You don't believe they pled guilty?
Nope.
So when they said that they were...
I never turn on the news. I never turn...
What the fuck? Like, this is just one of the most willfully ignorant people I've ever seen.
Turn on the TV. I never listen to any of that.
So where do you get your information if you don't watch the news?
I get my information from Telegram.
From Telegram. Mm-hmm. Are there any liberal or progressive voices on Telegram?
I don't have any idea.
There are not. Is it important to hear from people who have a different point of view than you?
I'd like to sit down with a liberal someday and have them tell me what it is that they think is so great about what's going on right now. But they won't talk to you about it.
Well, what particular issue would you like to talk about?
I don't know. What do you think is so great about what's going on right now?
I think what's so great is that people who are in the United States now have more opportunities than anywhere else around the world.
When's the last time you paid for a loaf of bread?
I just went to the store the other day, and I was glad to see that inflation is down.
Oh, no. We can't talk anymore.
Unemployment is down. My 401k is doing great. Your 401k is doing great. The markets are awesome.
Dude, old people who are Trump supporters are so fucking willfully ignorant. It's crazy.
I'm going to describe the order of battle in Gaza for both Hamas with its Qassam forces, along with the IDF, or Israeli Defense Forces, and its military. So to start, I want to show you something. This is kind of a commercial for Ground News, but kind of not. You might actually learn something here. Remember that explosion at the Gaza hospital a few days ago? Ground News can actually show you the different news outlets that covered the story, and I want to show you this. So both CNN and NBC have a high factuality rating, but look at this bias rating. They lean left, and they got the story wrong, assuming that hundreds were killed in the hospital blast. But if you go to Sky News Australia, you see it was a barbaric terrorist. Israel denies responsibility for attack on hospital in Gaza. So who are you supposed to believe? Well, that's kind of the advantage of using ground news. Now, when this Gaza invasion kicks off, there's going to be a lot of civilian casualties and a lot of misinformation. The casualties could be as high as 300 civilian casualties per day. And I'll show you how I arrived at that toward the end of the video. And we all have that family member who just refuses to listen, right? Ground news can help show you those biases and maybe let them know that the news source isn't totally accurate. I actually have a Vantage subscription to Ground News, which I paid for myself. It's kind of neat because it allows you to see who owns what news source that you consume, and you can realize whether this is independent or...
If she does just so happen to die, all I can say is good riddance.
Yeah, if she just so happens to die. Wouldn't be upset about that at all. Thanks for the donation, Dodo. Hopefully a xenomorph gets her. Or a polar bear.
Majority Report still coping about the hospital bombing. They go through a New York Times analysis that claims the footage doesn't show a rocket failing but an Iron Dome interceptor and do more trajectory cope. WAPO interviewed 20+ experts after who said otherwise.
New York Times is known to have been extremely biased and are deliberately lying about the issue in Gaza right now. So the fact that they even selected New York Times and cherry-picked that single source just shows how fucking dishonest they are. Thanks for the donation, though, Darth Poot. And I mean, the video footage is clear. There was no interception. It just failed. If it was intercepted, you would have seen it. Thanks again, man.
Or part of a conglomerate with its own agenda. So go to ground.news/Ryan Macbeth. It'll help you and that wackadoodle land of yours stay fully informed. Subscribe through my link for as little as $1 a month or get 30% tool. Now, when it comes to the order of battle, there are two major players on board. You have Qassam, which is the military arm of Hamas in the Gaza Strip, and you have the IDF, or Israeli Defense Forces, which is the military arm of Israel. Now, since Hamas really doesn't release any figures for its strength, we have to estimate using papers from experts and open source information, as well as claims that Hamas has made. Hamas has between 15,000 to 40,000 fighters organized into 6 or so brigades. Note that a brigade is a military unit that can fight and sustain for some period of time. Typically, a brigade in a NATO army is between 2,500 and 5,000 soldiers, but that might not be the case with Qassam. In that case, brigade might be an aspirational title rather than an accurate naming convention. Each brigade has several, so we're talking 2 or 3 battalions, as task and maneuver elements. Typically, each Qassam battalion has 4 combat companies and 1 headquarters company. That 1 headquarters company contains mortars, rockets, snipers, anti-tank forces, staff, and logistics. The 4 other combat companies contain 4 platoons of 5 squads each, and each squad contains between 5 and 11 combatants. The brigade may also contain...
Is he still streaming?
I heard that. I don't know if you're familiar with what's called the Balfour Declaration.
Yep.
Yeah, Arthur Balfour, that British foreign minister, signed it. So, near the end of World War I, the Arabs were on the side of the Germans, and the Ottomans and the Austrians
contain an anti-aircraft unit of indeterminate size, which may contain heavy machine guns and possibly man-pads or man-portable air defense systems. They also contain logistics and engineer elements. Typically, these brigades may operate independently with ammunition and supplies in pre-positioned caches. So there should be...
Alawali donators, why are you such a retard magnet? It's like your superpower. Wherever there's a retard, you'll find them without fail. Watch recent Joey vid with the Jewish dude. I don't know, man. They're just drawn to me for some reason. Maybe it's like the same way magnets work. I'm like so smart that like I'm the opposite, like polar opposite of like stupid people. And then like I'm just, they magnetically attract to me. No idea. Let's see, Joey Carbstrong. Orthodox Jew versus vegan. Alright, we'll watch that one next. Thanks for that donation, Alawali.
Caches in tunnels all over Gaza. One final thing. Hamas used drones in Operation Al-Aqsa Flood on October 7th, 2023.
They got those from
Iran. We don't have
Iran.
any hard data about their drone capability. It can be assumed that they may have small DIJ, observation, and maybe even armed drones that could be operating at battalion level. It's most likely that there's one brigade in the north of Gaza, Gaza City, really. One to the east, one to the south, one in central Gaza, one in Khan Yunis, and one in Rafah. For weapons, Qassam tends to have a mix of small arms and light machine guns of both American and Soviet design. There is no standardization. For anti-tank warfare, they have the RPG-7 in both Soviet and Chinese variants. Now, they may have more advanced anti-tank weapons like the AT-3 Sagar, the AT-4 Spigot, and supposedly anti-tank guided missiles were fired at Israeli vehicles in 2012, and those missiles may have been Russian Concours or Coronet missiles that were brought from Iran. So they may have that in their inventory. For anti-aircraft duty, they have Dishka heavy machine guns, and they may have copies of Soviet SA-7 Igla missiles. They also have 81mm mortars, most likely of Iranian manufacture, as well as mines and IEDs, or improvised explosive devices of various types. Finally, they have unguided rockets. These are more like terror weapons than actual useful battlefield weapons. They're too inaccurate to fire at a military unit unless that unit is massing on the border and just staying in one place. These rockets consist of the Qassam 1, 2, and 3, and yes, Qassam is also the name of a missile. When it comes to training, that's kind of fuzzy too, but there is an actual training program. For youth, there is a 6 to 7 day program for young men where they learn the basics of weapon handling and tactics. There's also training programs where militants travel to Syria, Iran, and Lebanon, and programs where advisors from those countries come to Gaza and they train units. For communication, Qassam uses portable radios that may or may not feature basic encryption, cell phones, landlines, and of course, runners. Qassam, the unit here, not the rocket.
Yeah, and people were coping when the IDF intercepted that phone call.
Would you rather let Dr. Gregor fuck Jasmine in the ass and slurp his cum out of her bum right after, or eat the dead rotting flesh off of Big Lenny's legs?
I would take the first option. So that would be the least likely to result in me dying. Thanks for that donation though, buttfucker. So yeah, people were coping that the intercepted Hamas telephone call was fake, because why would they use telephones when they have radios that have encryption? And again, it's been proven that they do communicate with cell phones pretty frequently, so it's just bullshit.
Rocket is run by
Bruh.
Check out this scuba.
Let me see.
There is genocide ongoing in Gaza, Palestine.
Yes, a genocide. That's why the Palestinian population has increased so massively. Because it's a genocide. That's why Israel's only attacking military targets, because it's a genocide. Right.
Which is also extending to the other parts of Palestine, including so-called Israel and the West Bank, the occupied West Bank. We'll get into specifically how it is a genocide later, because it qualifies easily, even by the most narrow definition possible. But basically, 7,000 people have been killed in just 2 weeks, or 2.5 weeks now. About 40% of that number has been children, about 3,000 children.
He's literally reading off Hamas numbers. Hamas put out these numbers saying it's like 3,000 children died. Nobody knows how many children died. That's just numbers put out by Hamas. So rather than trying to get independent third-party verification, he's just believing a terrorist group. Beelzebub, donate $2. Do you believe in demons? Nope, I do not. I don't believe in demons, goblins, ghosts, wizards, witches, or any hokey pokey. Thanks for that donation, Beelzebub.
Children have been killed by Israeli carpet bombing of Gaza, which is in...
They are not carpet bombing. Carpet bombing is something specific. They're doing targeted strikes.
Did Scientific Snitch initiate round 2 of the debate, or did you? How was Spider-Man 2? finished it? No spoilers, please. Also, check out Sneeko here.
I think I initiated it. She made a couple TikTok videos saying that I contradicted myself, and then I offered to have a second debate with her, where we could talk about that claim that I contradicted myself. And she agreed, and then she ran away like a fucking baby once I pointed out that she's contradicted herself a number of times. And let me see, Prismo.
Sean, nice to meet you.
Oh yeah, and I did not finish Spider-Man 2 yet. I'm taking a break from that game because it is super slow and boring, and there's a few other games I want to play. Alan Wake 2 just came out. I still need to play Mortal Kombat 1. The new WRC game is coming out on November 3rd, I think, and RoboCop Rogue City is coming out November 2nd.
Sneeko. What's up, man? What's your name? Sneeko. Congrats on the win and everything.
Sneeko, who the fuck are you, Sneeko?
I'm just a guy. I'm working
train?
at everything.
What do you do?
I do train. I do some
Are you
boxing.
an influencer?
So I don't like that term.
What are you?
I'm a guy, man. What are you?
A fucking MMA fighter. Is he an influencer?
I guess. I guess so. Yeah.
Well, keep it going, man.
All right.
Keep telling the people.
Can you give some words of wisdom? I liked your podcast with the Nelk Boys. To see them get pressed like that for the first time was funny.
Majority of influencers are cunts.
Yeah.
Work hard. Be a decent man. Stay off fucking Instagram. Stay off TikTok. You have a better life.
Thanks, Sean.
Not bad. Not bad advice.
What's the situation with the dual stream setup? Is the Turkey Tom vlog video coming out soon? Also, Gideon recently became a born-again Christian and released a statement on his main channel.
The fuck?
Man, I'm not gonna lie, I never thought I would be...
Well, that is dumb. Would you be interested in debating me on the existence of God? I'll just leave that comment. Yeah, I keep forgetting. I'm gonna do the dual stream setup thing. I'll try to make sure I do it tomorrow, okay? I just keep forgetting. My depression's been really, really fucking bad recently, and it's fucked with my memory. Yeah, so apparently Gideon's gone retarded.
Posting a video like this on my main channel, but here we are, man. Here we are. Let's do this. Let's do this. As a lot of you know, I posted a video on my second channel called Giving My Life Back to Christ. And in that video, I was giving you guys my testimony about how I was wanting to stop being lukewarm and just truly give my life over to Christ. And not only did it send shockwaves to the Christian community, but it sent shockwaves through just the entire internet, man. You know, I've been off of social media, but, you know, I have seen some clips and stuff, and like just seeing the reaction that it's had in such a positive light, like, man, it's just a blessing. You know, God is good. God is good, especially knowing me. You know, whenever I'm in the news, it's usually for, you know, something crazy. But I think me being in the news for something like, let's just make sure Cry Dion doesn't come. So much as it was the word of mouth, man. I've had some of you guys come up to me and tell me, yo, one of my homies put me on. Verse in the Bible that I feel really pertain to me is in Mark chapter 8. For whoever will save his life shall lose it, but whosoever shall lose his life for my sake and the gospel's, the same shall save it. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? Like, this verse speaks to me so much because I didn't want to lose my life. You know, I really looked at what I had in my life as being of greater value than what Jesus has to offer in my life. And
this is just fucking stupid. This is delusional fucking horseshit. Thanks to the nation, though. Sweaty asshole. Darth Putin donated $2. Let me see. Video shows two people in front of USC tearing down and throwing away posters of the hostages kidnapped by Hamas.
Excuse me, why are you taking those off? Why are you taking this off?
Because it's causing the conflict to be worse.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
By you taking this off, you know what it does?
Because
It shows
it
that
can't
Jewish
help.
victims are not okay. Excuse me, why are you taking this off? Do you have anything to say to you about yourself? No, can you not take this off?
I already took
My
them.
friend's
They're
one of those
making the
200 people.
conflict worse.
My friend is one of those people, and you're taking them
And
off?
that's sad, but I don't see how that helps the conflict. People are just killing each other more
No,
and more.
you're removing the ability for Jews to have be victims.
I don't think that's true. They already are, and that's the unfortunate part.
You should be ashamed of yourselves.
Sir, I'm sorry, but I'm not.
No, both you should be
I don't
ashamed of
think
yourselves.
The conflict is good.
You should be ashamed of yourselves.
I'm not.
These people should get their asses kicked. Fucking dipshits. Yeah, fuck them. Thanks for the nation, Darth Putin. One donated $2. Did you see the new gig vid yet? We did. We reacted to it last night on stream. It was really good with Michael Knowles. Thanks for the nation one.
A highly dense, almost entirely urban area, which the Palestinian people who live there have been forced into by Israel itself, which stole.
Palestinian people being forced into there because they kept committing violent acts against fucking Jews. So they're the ones who created that situation for themselves. Oh, it's so bad that they're getting boxed in. Well, guess what? They were the ones who were fucking bombing buses and shit.
All their land and ethnically cleanse them, and now it's bombing them to smithereens. They've killed thousands upon thousands of children. 70% of their victims.
Yeah, thousands of children. Who's making that claim? A terrorist group.
This is more than shame fuel, it's pure evil.
Oh yeah, they're fucking pieces of shit. I can't stand fucking assholes like that. Thanks to the nation. This video bores me. He's just repeating the same fucking, oh, it's a genocide, collective punishment. Yeah, whatever.
Mohammed Diab Ibrahim Masari, which is one of Israel's most wanted men. They nicknamed him Mohammed Dif, meaning guest in Arabic, because he's constantly moving around. He's been in the organization since 1990, and supposedly all the tunnels around Gaza were his brainchild. Now,
Or this poor kid was killed by an Israeli airstrike. His goal was to become a popular YouTuber.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. معكم عوني تعريف عني.
That's great. Thanks for the donation, Richard Cooper.
Now, let's talk about Israel. Israel contains 5 active duty infantry brigades that are heavily mechanized. They have a paratroop brigade and a special forces brigade. They also have 4 active duty armored brigades and 2 active duty artillery regiments. Now, everybody has heard of Israel's call up of 360,000 reservists. These reservists will round out 13 infantry brigades, of which 2 brigades are paratroopers, 9 are armored brigades, and up to 4 artillery regiments. Equipment varies depending on whether you're active duty or a reservist. Now, for the most part, the IDF carries the X-95 Tavor or the M4 rifle. They also have the negative light machine gun and the mag medium machine gun. For light armor work and bunker busting, they carry the Matador. For anti-tank work, they have the Spike. The IDF also uses
that thing is fucking huge. Holy shit.
Vorsh is live right now. Can you type in his chat and see if that coward will debate you?
I mean, he has 1 billion people in his chat.
I see. Interesting. The first island chain refers to the first chain of major Pacific archipelagos out from the East Asian continental mainland coast. Here we have red lines. If the image would like to... Man. Hey, donate to Wikipedia, huh? Yeah, thank you. Here we have red lines, which describe the chain of islands. Now, you might notice that this does a pretty good job of encircling China, right? So you've got India, you've got Thailand, and then anything that wants to reach China from down here would have to move down. Like, that's why they're being so aggressive in the South China Sea right over here. So they'd have to move down like so. And this string of islands kind of blocks that out. And then, what was I looking at? This. Looking at this. According to a 2018 United States Department of Defense report to Congress, the People's Liberation Army's anti-access/area denial military capabilities aimed at the first island chain are its most robust. The report also stated the People's Liberation Army's Navy's ability to perform missions beyond the first island chain is modest but growing. How nice. For the U.S., In April 2014, the U.S. Naval Institute assessed the first island chain as the most effective point to counter any Chinese invasion. The U.S. could not only cut off the People's Liberation Army Navy from entering the West Pacific, but also predict where they may move by trying to break through in the first place. The U.S. and first island chain countries are able to coordinate because the U.S. military's freedom of navigation around the first chain block. Yes, so this is where we get into alliances, right? So America...
Okay, I don't think he notices me.
Spike. The IDF also uses 60, 81, and 120 millimeter mortars, although they seem to favor the 120 millimeter mortar since they're so heavily mechanized. The average Israeli active duty soldier has a modern kit with modern body armor, helmet, and night vision, although reservists may have older equipment. For vehicles, the IDF has a Merkava 3 and 4 tanks, with 4 going to active duty and the rest 3 models shunted to reservists. Note that one unique feature of the Merkava is that its rear hatch can act as an armored
Dude, that tank is so fucking gigantic.
Personnel carrier, and you could fit a couple of guys in there. So you can actually use the Merkava to do a CASEVAC, or casualty evacuation. The tank also comes with a 60 millimeter mortar that can be used for illumination or infantry support. Israel has over 5,000 armored personnel carriers in reserve, although most of those variants are the American M113 armored personnel carrier that they call the Zelda. Their prime...
I think with their armor, they're gonna have issues with IEDs, but assuming they can handle the IED problem, they're gonna fucking steamroll Hamas, dude.
Primary active duty armored personnel carrier is an Emir, which is essentially a Merkava hull with a remote weapon station. One quick note, both the Merkava 4 and the Namir are equipped with a trophy active protection system, which can shoot down incoming rockets and missiles. But based on recent footage, it doesn't appear that system is effective against drone-dropped munitions. Israel also has 2 artillery regiments, mainly consisting of 155 millimeter and 109A5 guns, or the M270 MLRS.
If only we had a tank that big to destroy Hamas.
Well, they do. What do you mean? They do have that tank. And hopefully they will use it against Hamas. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Now, when it comes to recruiting and training, conscription is required among all Jewish and Druze men and women who are not ultra-Orthodox. Some Arab Christians choose to serve, as well as Arab Muslims, many of whom are Bedouins from the south. Men serve for 32 months, women serve for 24 months. Note that many in Israel consider the military to be kind of like jury duty. It's something you have to do, and you're proud of yourself, but you don't necessarily want to go back. So, few Israeli soldiers remain on active duty, and many who do become officers. Everybody else becomes a reservist. Men stay reservists until age 40, although it's longer for officers and certain technical specialties, as well as physicians. Women serve as reservists until age 38, but in practice, women above the age of 24 rarely return to duty. On the Air Force side, Israel has a professional Air Force that is one of the best in the world. They have 3 squadrons of F-15s, 10 squadrons of F-16s, and 3 squadrons of F-35s. And a squadron is about 8 to 24 aircraft. For ground attack, they're mainly armed with various versions of the JDAM, Joint Direct Attack Munition, and the small diameter bomb. Also note that the IAF, or Israeli Air Force, also...
My dad is a Hamas militant and he wants your advice on how to evade the wrath of Israel.
Yeah, so tell him to pull his pants down, bend over, and spread his cheeks. Thanks for the donation, Muhammad.
Operates the Apache helicopter, the Black Hawk, and the Stallion, with the Apache able to fire Spike and Hellfire missiles. So that's the order of battle. So what's the plan for the ground invasion? Well, imagine painting the corner of a wall. You cut in through the left and go up. Israel will probably cut across this one strip of land. It will set up forces to the south on the defense and then send forces into Gaza City to clear buildings and tunnels house by house. Once that's done, it may move south, clearing the rest of the Gaza Strip. It is not going to be easy. It is going to be house to house, tunnel to tunnel. When they encounter a machine gun position, a sniper position, anti-armor launcher position, they'll most likely destroy that from the air with a precision strike or with artillery. So we're probably going to see something more akin to the 2008 Battle of Sadr City in Iraq, which took 45 days, instead of something like the Yom Kippur War that happened in the desert. We're talking about moving 200 to 500 meters a day, meaning the operation, at least in the north in Gaza City, will take anywhere between 20 to 50.
Do you think their intel is this good? Or is this propaganda cope?
Let me see. Hamas, ISIS sick. They turn hospitals into headquarters for their terror. Just released intelligence proving it.
React to this.
I will in just a moment. Thanks for the donation, Dodo. So they probably know there's a headquarters beneath the hospital based on satellite, image data and just seeing troop location. Shifa Hospital. Hamas headquarters. Israel's military claims Al-Shifa Hospital is being used as a headquarters for Hamas. Nowhere to evacuate critically injured patients. IDF shows proof. Yeah, I'd believe it.
I repeat that Hamas uses hospitals as terror infrastructures. Hamas has turned hospitals into command and control centers and hideouts for Hamas terrorists and commanders. Additionally, I can confirm that according to the intelligence we have in our hands, there is fuel in hospitals in Gaza. I repeat, there is fuel in hospitals in Gaza. And Hamas is using it for its terror infrastructures.
Yeah, I mean, I would believe it. That's what they do. I think especially now they have motivation to do it because of, mainstream media's fucking cuckoldry. Let me see, Dodo.
Yes, I think it was an absolutely huge demonstration, 20,000, maybe more. I couldn't even see the back of it. But for Dublin, this is an enormous demonstration. It was organised by the IsraelPalestine Solidarity Campaign, but also with many other groups involved.
Just imagine how many fucking Holocaust deniers are in that group, and a lot of them don't even realize it.
And the message was very clear here today: stop the slaughter of Gaza. But not just that, to say that the root cause of this problem, the terror we are seeing Israel now inflict on the people of Gaza, is actually the nature of the Israeli state.
No, that's not what it is. The Muslim Brotherhood is the root cause of this fucking problem. Look, there was... There had already been good faith efforts since the fucking 1950s to establish a two-state solution. They have all been rejected. So, like, at this point, the only way to actually have a two-state solution is to get rid of Hamas. It's the only way, and it looks like the majority of Palestinians do support a two-state solution right now. Just that they can't do it with Hamas in power. Fucking cuck. Everybody is just cucking to fucking Hamas. It's crazy. Thanks for the nation, Dodo.
50 days, and 20 at the low end, 50 at the high end. If we use Operation Cast Lead and the Battle of Sadr City as a template, On the Israeli side, you should expect to see 3 casualties per day on the low end and 16 casualties per day on the high end. On the Qassam side, expect to see between 7 and 66 casualties per day. Also expect to see anywhere between 13 and 40 civilian casualties per day, although that number could be as high.
Just curious what your position is. Are you pro-Israel, pro-Palestine and anti-Hamas? Or are you anti-Palestine as well? Thanks.
I'm anti-Hamas, and I don't think I'd describe my position about Israel-Palestine so simply.
Gideon is live on his second channel. You should challenge him to a debate on the existence of God.
I will do that. Thanks for the donation, niggas in Paris. So, I'm mostly pro-Israel. I don't like how they're treating Palestinians in the West Bank. That's wrong, and there should be a negotiation for a two-state solution. But yeah, I'm mostly pro-Israel, and I'm against Hamas.
Speculation. I feel like everything that you guys could want to know was said in that video. You feel me? Like, what do you guys think, chat? What do you think? Do you guys think that the video was pretty self-explanatory? But yes, sir. Nitro even said it. But yeah, man. I'm gonna say how many ever times I gotta say it, man. Like Adele said, this is the end. Hold your breath and count to 10, man. Gideon is no more. I'm gonna repeat that one more time. Gideon is no more. And what I mean by that is like me changing my name. No, like you guys can still call me Gideon. I don't care about that. But what I'm saying is, the menace to society, the man who just doesn't care, over here, doing the most out in public and stuff like that. Public nuisance. Man, that Gideon's gone, man. That Gideon's gone, man. No more pranks. Unless I could prank people to reading their Bible. I don't know. Maybe if I could think of a prank, try to get people to read their Bible or something, I might hop in that. But there's one thing I want you guys to notice, man. There's one thing I want you guys to notice. I'm nobody on earth's slave. I'm a slave for Christ. I'm going to get that said right here and right now. I am a slave to Christ. And like I said in the video, I know a lot of people aren't going to respect my decision. I know a lot of people don't understand my decision. And that's just me. That's just, the nature.
Guys, I'm a con picker. Guys. I'm sorry, I'm a con picker.
If you think we came from monkeys, right? Why there's a big gap in between intelligence and apes? Why did we automatically have a big gap of brain power?
What? Dude, you're not even, bro. Like, just you realize that's not what they believe, right?
Okay.
Sure of it, and there's no problem.
Well, I'm not going to be able to debate him. Thanks for the donation, though.
Thoughts? PLS
During
React.
the same visit, Paris informed Pettis.
Let me take a look, Dodo. They're doing it for years now.
Israel is one of the most racist countries in the world. While you'll never hear anyone in the mainstream media...
Right, Israel's racist, but Palestinians aren't racist at all. That's why they teach their children that the Holocaust never happened and that it would have been a good thing if it did happen.
Say this is actually one of the most important things you need to understand if you want to know what's happening right now. From its
I've already seen this fucking clip. You've sent this to me before. This guy's a fucking pencil-nicked fucking cuck, and then he just tried to make Israel look bad. Thanks for the donation, dude.
Yo bro, loved how you handled that debate. Her boyfriend was an absolute tard. And lastly, how do you like Alan Wake 2 so far? Do you think it's worth buying? Thanks.
I like it so far. Don't expect it to be like Resident Evil 4 exactly. Like, the controls are largely the same. It's just not as action-packed. So, if you want a game that has, survival horror, shooting mechanics, that's kind of like RE4, but is much like more horror-focused, slower-paced, does more with the story and atmosphere, then you'd like it. So far I really like it. It is hard to run on PC. I just updated my graphics drivers, so hopefully it runs a little better. But I did have everything on Mac, so. But yeah, I do really like the game. If you like horror games, you should like Alan Wake 2. Thanks for the donation, Farce. Less is more, donate $2. End daylight saving times once and for all. I, Vegan Gains, approve of this message. I need my damn sleep. A 2023 version of the Sunshine Protection Act has remained idle in Congress. P.S. I owned that TikTok tard. I am in favor of permanent daylight savings time. Longer days is a good thing, but thanks for the donation. Less is more.
Hi VG. I hope that you are doing great tonight. I just got done a short-handed shift and collected a few hours of overtime for it. Smile also. Is it safe to call Trump a terrorist and a Nazi now?
Let me take a look. Trump posts an article praising the terrorist organization Hezbollah attacking Israel as smart and comparing them to himself. Hezbollah is smart and so is Trump. What the fuck? Yeah, I think it's fair to call him a Nazi. Thanks for that donation, Bend Over. And that's good to hear, Ben.
This short melted my heart. Good on this woman for saving this beautiful Bambi.
This little Bambi was exhausted and stuck in water. This woman saw her and wanted to help. She went down and picked up the small animal. She gave him a shower and warmed him up. Then the girl gave him some hugs and the baby even kissed her.
Oh my god.
The girl fed the animal some milk and gave him some time to rest. Then somehow the mama deer was found and the small deer came to thank his rescuer.
Oh.
After 3 years he still remembered and even brought his whole family.
Wow. Oh my god.
This little Bambi.
That's really cute. Thanks for that donation, Popcato. I like deer. Vegan, tranny, donatillers, why not be EBF, ethical, botanical, fruitarian? Plants might be sentient or have some kind of pro-sentience. No. Use the precautionary principle. And only non-flourishing botanical fruits who have no preferred or dispreferred states. Plants aren't sentient, so no. Thanks for the donation, though, vegan tranny.
And another in March of 1956 against Jordan joining the Baghdad Pact, both instigated by Cairo-based Voice of the Arabs radio station. Hussein believed his throne was in danger.
High as 300 casualties per day if you count wounded civilians. Hey guys, I want to break into this video for a moment because as I was editing this video, and the editing process can take days, I really...
that are more devastating to the civilians in the area.
So what about end state? What does victory look like for Hamas and what does victory look like for Israel? So to start, just like Ukraine, there is no winner here. There is no win. There is only lose and lose less. But for Hamas, winning means surviving. If they can drag out the conflict until a humanitarian crisis is created and the world demands that Israel stop, that's the win. The win is surviving. What does victory look like for Israel? Victory looks like destroying Hamas and Qassam completely as a military force.
Have you considered getting back on Twitter? I know the platform is cancer, but it could make your debate outreach easier. Imagine if you got to debate Tristan Tate instead of Joey Carbstrong.
No. Twitter is cancer. There's no point in using it. It's fucking stupid. It's a fucking Nazi platform. Don't care to use it. I've tried using Twitter to set up debates, and it's nothing but a waste of time. You deal with the most deranged retards on Twitter, and it's just completely waste time.
Dude, it's not making Israel look bad to point out that Israel was literally created to be an ethno-state, that Israeli government ministers have called for the execution of all Palestinians, and that Jewish supremacy is encoded into law.
Yeah, that's great, Dodo. Thanks for the donation, dude. Failblog.org, donate tellers. How does this meta find eggs reduce risk of CHD? What is this bullshit? American Journal of Medicine. Association of egg consumption. Diverse results reported in the primary data require cautious interpretation, methodological concerns. Observational data for egg consumption are enormously complicated depending on prevailing dietary recommendations for cholesterol. Blah, blah, blah. So usually when you find a lack of association with eggs and heart disease, it's just because people are already consuming a high cholesterol diet. So adding any more cholesterol to their diet doesn't increase their heart disease risk. In areas like Japan, I think egg consumption is actually associated with a lower intake of saturated fat. So if somehow they were looking at populations that consumed more cholesterol but ate less saturated fat, that would explain how they'd find a not only a lack of association but a protective effect of egg consumption. Because saturated fat is a much bigger risk for heart disease. So... thanks for that donation, though, failblog.org.
Needless to say, it's easier for Hamas to win than for Israel to win. Because if just one single Hamas fighter remains, he can ignite the fire of revolution into the minds of all who were displaced during this operation. I want to end with this. There's a video I saw on Twitter of Israeli soldiers dancing as the Iron Dome intercepted missiles in the background. And this made me really, really depressed because they don't know what I know. That if you survive what's coming for you in the next couple of days, it will consume you for the rest of your life. I was also reminded of another video of a Qassam fighter who was wounded on October 7th during that Operation Al-Aqsa flood raid. Instead of helping him, his buddies stripped him of his gear and ammunition and left him there to die. You might have this glorious fantasy of becoming a shaheed, becoming a martyr. And when you're lying on the ground and death isn't instant, it's taking its time and it's painful and your buddies are fighting over your gear, you might think, maybe I've been hanging out with the wrong crowd.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for watching.
Can guarantee you in their last moments when they're dying slowly, they regret what they've done.
Is there any truth that pasture eggs are better? Also in pro-Hamas also do you hear Kanye tells his employees to worship Hitler? What an amazing man.
No, pasture-raised eggs are not better for you. There's pretty much no nutritional difference. And yeah, I heard that about Kanye. Kanye's a piece of shit. Thanks for that donation, Nazi.
There's a freaking mosquito in here. Gosh.
Failblog sent the wrong link. Sorry. I can get they find no association, but how do they find a lower association? Like I explained, egg consumption might be associated with lower intake of saturated fat. So that would explain why. .89. That would be my assumption. Just the people consuming eggs were consuming less saturated fat. Or there's other confounding variables at play that just weren't accounted for in the study. Thanks for the donation, though, Failblog. Appreciate it. DDO donated $2. Is that Dodo just not knowing how to spell his name anymore? If the US had different citizenship requirements for white and black people, you'd say it's wrong. Well, not if white or black people were trying to kill themselves over weird religious bullshit in territory. Why is it so hard for you to acknowledge it's bad when Israel does it? Yeah, so again, having an ethno-state in the circumstance isn't necessarily a bad thing when Palestinians keep instigating violence. Acknowledging Israel's fascist doesn't mean Hamas isn't. You sound like a Carnist. No, you're just a fucking idiot. Thanks for the donation, dude. Alright. Joey Carbstrong versus Orthodox Jew.
I have to interrupt.
Come on, bro. No, because
You're taking the piss now.
It's not. No, I don't think
we
that's
can talk
true.
about mutilations that happen in the dairy industry.
I disagree that that's cruel.
That's ridiculous.
Tool donated $2. Let me see. This telegraph. Holy shit. He almost got his brain scrambled.
Here is a cheese focused on it to piss you off. Did you hear Amaranth is going to make beer cultured with her vagina yeast? Also here is a based take from the queen of vegan cheese, Mia Go.
You know, in the United States, we don't have to go to war to kill innocent lives. No, all we have to do is go into a bar or a bowling alley and shoot them all down. Do you know there's been over 35,000 gun-related deaths in the
Over half of those are suicides, so yeah, there's only been about 15,000 homicides.
United States so far in 2023? Now, half of those have been suicides, but the rest, use your imagination. And there are big...
Yeah, so half are suicides, about 80% are gang-related killings.
And 500 mass murders.
No, so whenever you hear these statistics, there being 500 mass shootings, they're using an extremely broad definition of mass shooting. Usually mass shooting is something that describes a public shooting where 3 or more people are killed or injured, and there's a political purpose to the shooting. Most of these mass shootings are gang-related, so they're just gangs beefing with one another, and then they shoot into like a crowd or something, or at a gas station, and a few people get killed or injured. So, no, there isn't a rash of politically motivated killings. It's all gang-related.
Based on guns this year so far. Now, why should school children have to fear for their lives just to go to school? I grew up in Japan where I didn't have to worry about a thing when I walked down the street at any time, day or night, because...
That is total fucking bullshit, especially for her age when the Yakuza were rampant. The Yakuza, for the longest time, like, had so many human trafficking rings. They'd fucking kidnap women and turn them into fucking prostitutes. Like, the idea that you didn't have to worry about your safety in Japan, especially in the era that she probably grew up in, she's full of shit. Japan is not particularly safe. If you look at crime statistics in Japan, they're extremely skewed because of how their legal system works. They will only prosecute if they have absolute definitive evidence that you have actually committed the crime. Otherwise, they won't even attempt a prosecution. Rapes in Japan, for instance, I think are something like half of what you would see in a comparable demographic in another country. That's because they just refuse to prosecute rapists. Rapes are actually at least as high, if not higher, in Japan compared to other comparable demographics in other countries. So that's just absolute bullshit. She's lying and making crap up.
Because nobody has a gun in Japan.
That is a lie. Plenty of people own guns in Japan. Just ask the fucking Yakuza.
Why are we
Yeah, only criminals have guns in Japan. That's the difference.
So afraid to stand up to the NRA or the people that have...
Fuck this dumb bitch. I am super fucking depressed right now. Like, I'm teetering on the edge, and I really just don't want to listen to fucking horse shit like that right now. I can't handle it.
Direct negotiations with Egypt in any level. That's kind of worth throwing down there.
Why?
That's an insane position, dude.
I mean,
is that what your religion
no,
says?
Let's see. Oh, he's not in the general chat anymore.
You're gonna look this up after. You're making irrational claims.
If you take a pig.
No point. There's no point.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, brother. Of course you can.
You said you would kill a lion if it was self-defense to protect a human?
Yeah, if they were going to kill a human, yeah. If I had to kill the dog to save a human, or kill a lion to save a human, I'm going to do it, yeah.
Would he kill a lion
I would say it depends on the human.
to save a sheep?
Yes. If they were going to
Base, Joey's taken up the killing carnivorous animals thing.
kill the sheep, yeah.
You know that's what lions do every day.
Yeah, but I can't go out there and stop them, can I?
Why not? I mean, would he go out and kill all the lions just to protect all the sheep?
I'll put it this way. I don't know how to deal with that problem, but I think it's morally preferable if carnivorous animals didn't exist in terms of ethics, because they eat animals alive. They shred them alive. It's horrible. And even God thinks that.
That's interesting. Joey has changed his stance rather significantly, because I remember before he would say, not too long ago, that it's okay if a wild animal does it. So I think he might have gotten caught in a debate, or maybe he's been listening to Avi or watching my streams or something. So based, he's finally come on board with culling carnivorous animals.
Does it?
Isaiah 11:6.
What?
The wolf will lay down with the lamb.
When you mean that in Messianic days when the Messiah comes?
Even God thinks that.
There'll be world peace. No, it's true, there will be, but...
So I'm not the only one. It's not crazy for me to think it if God thinks that.
No, but at the moment there isn't.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying I have a belief, and I don't know how to can change that. But you're saying it's a bit crazy, or I don't know, like you maybe go in there, it's a bit mad to think that. But even God believes that.
But why don't we go out and kill all the lions you can find? All the carnivorous animals.
No, because I can't.
Poison foxes, quite easy. Put up poison bait to kill foxes around the area, because they're going to kill other animals, which they do every night. They kill pets, they kill birds, they kill mice.
I honestly believe that there should be a way to contain carnivorous animals like foxes. I don't think we should go straight for poisoning them. I don't think that's I personally think that.
You can't change the nature.
No, 1 second. I think we should separate them somehow from like, I don't want to see lions shred antelope or foxes shred rabbits alive.
I'm to separate them
I mean, you're talking...
And feed them what?
Preferably vegan pet food.
They can't survive. Carnivorous animals can't survive. Even
Here we
cats
go.
need to eat meat.
Oh no, you can get vegan cat food in that.
There.
No, you can.
Yeah.
No, you can.
Okay,
Have you looked into vegan cat food?
I have looked into it.
No, have you looked into it? The research?
As far as I know, you can't.
Have you looked into the research? They need taurine. They need nutrients found in meat. They don't need meat. But anyway, what's the problem with my position against eating animals for us? Do you have a problem with that? Because we can talk about carnivorous animals,
Yeah,
but
that's fine. But I think your question's wrong. It's why not be vegan? But you're the one making a claim for people to be vegan, so it should be the other way around.
No, because I'm
Why
putting
be vegan?
because the burden's on the person, and the burden's on the person to justify killing the animals.
Why not?
I don't think it's unjustified to kill the animals.
Again,
and
why?
Do you think it's justified?
Yeah, why not?
Well, justify it.
In what way? Is it justified for
Like
okay?
morally justify it.
What's the moral problem?
Okay, the moral problem is animals are sentient, conscious beings, similar to us, not on the same level of consciousness, but what happens to them matters to them. They feel fear, pain, suffering, they care for their young. If it's wrong to torture them because they experience that suffering, then it's also wrong to murder them. And I don't think we need to do it. We don't need to we don't need it for health.
I don't think it's about needing. Let's start by actually, is it whether it's morally wrong or not?
Okay.
Why is it morally wrong to kill someone? Murder a person, a human being.
Because that you're taking away their experience, and they're an individual, they're a subject of their experience, and they deserve to have sovereignty over their own experience, and we don't deserve to take that from other people.
So then what about abortion? Are you then pro-life?
Yes, after a certain level of sentience, yeah, like
Thanks for the gifted sub, Isaac. Appreciate it.
trivial sentience.
Why would you need sentience? I mean, it's still a human being. It's going to grow, in fact, even from day one, but certainly you could argue from heartbeat, where there's actually human hearts beating there,
No, well, I only care about the human as much as it turns into a human, and I only care about the fetus.
The animal's not human, and you still care about it. So
No, sorry, human. I only care about the being at the point it becomes sentient, conscious, having an experience. Like, because otherwise, I mean, I don't advocate for keeping people on life support for 20 years.
I'll tell you the way I see it. The way I see it is the two routes you can go down when defining ethics and morals. Either, which I believe actually is because I'm religious too, but I'm not going to argue from that position because you're obviously not a religious Jew, so there's no point to me.
Oh, I just say Isaiah 11:6 and the Garden of Eden. Do you have the Garden of Eden?
Hang
in Torah?
on.
Yeah.
So, morals and ethics in general, my personal position is that absolute morality, it comes from God. And if God decides that this is okay, if God says you can go out and eat animals, then that's fine with me. I defer to... hang on.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue, because if you don't believe in God or you don't believe in the Torah or my beliefs, then...
Well, I care about your beliefs. I don't care about other people's beliefs because I'm talking to you, you know what I mean?
I would argue as a general, as a society, that morality or our laws come from a social contract, which is basically...
But some people can't resist... I know what a social contract...
Yeah, so if he's going to say whether or not you can adhere to a social contract is what, you know, determines whether or not you should be killed and eaten, then that would disqualify, like, mentally disabled people.
Do you still sell vegan swagger? I want a VG shirt that says name that rate or perhaps one that reads show me the fucking evidence dipshit.
Maybe I should, actually make those shirts. I don't have any that say that specifically, but I am still selling shirts on Teespring. So, fuck. If you go to my channel, there should be... I don't know why they don't put ads on... Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so if you go to my Teespring link, you can check out all the Teespring merch. I actually really like these, the animal emoji thing. But yeah, I gotta make some new t-shirt designs. I'm gonna make some new ones soon. Thanks for the donation, Vegan Demon. Yeah, so if he's gonna say social contract or adherence to a social contract is what grants somebody, you know, moral worth to where you can't kill them, not only would that disqualify people with mental disabilities, but I mean, it doesn't really say how you're supposed to treat people who violate social contracts. Like, okay, if somebody, say, steals something, does that mean you can, like, turn them into a hamburger because they violated a social contract? So, like, clearly there's other principles other than adherence to a social contract.
Well, I'm not going to punch you, you don't punch me.
No, some people can't, and some people and humans can't reciprocate a social contract.
I think we've extended this to the whole species, the whole human species, because we're part of the species that is capable of the social contract, even though there are specific individuals there
that can't reciprocate a social contract.
That are mentally deficient.
Yeah, but do you think that's logical?
I think it's logical.
Why?
I think it's logical.
Why do we get protection and other species who experience the world don't?
Because they don't care about us.
Baby don't care about me.
Well, he's going to grow up.
Someone with a mental handicap doesn't care about me.
He's part of the group.
It doesn't matter.
And in fact,
why does that matter?
And in fact, I would argue.
Why does it matter if they're part of the group? Why does it matter? Why does that matter in ethics?
Well, two things.
Yeah.
First of all, we are guided a lot by the ones we feel affinity to, and our group, which I think we can extend to all of humanity, are the ones we feel affinity to. But also, when you kill...
Wait a second. So
one second.
We feel affinity... Okay.
Yeah, but
okay, there's two things here. So affinity to each other is a moral justifier, yeah?
I think it's not...
If we feel affinity to each other, then...
It's not the basis, but it's not the basis, but I think it certainly informs our morals. If I would go and kill a mentally completely deficient, like
Human,
a human being who's got no idea, like completely doesn't know anything.
Well, not know anything. Let's just say they know about as much as they can.
Hang on, I would be hurting their family, their parents, their brothers, sisters.
This is two things I don't want to get to. You're adding lots of stuff on. I'm going to interrupt. I have to interrupt. One sec. I have to interrupt because we're going to get. You're going to be on a monologue and we're not going to address it. You're saying that ethics are dictated by affinity, and I think you're pushed off of that. I don't think.
No, I think they're
because I could just not share an affinity to some humans, and then you think it would be justified to kill them.
No,
right. But coupled with that, you said people with a severe disability who don't know much. But I would say no. They have to. They have to.
I mean,
No. But babies will grow. So let's just say someone with a severe. This is called the argument from marginal cases, by the way. Someone with a severe mental handicap. Let's say they're about the level of
My brother and I were wondering if you'd ever come out with a shirt that said one of your signature sayings like "Congratulations, you're banned," or something lol. Also, finally something good.
I could do that. I could definitely do that. I'll consider that with the new t-shirt designs. Breaking: Diamond & Diamond has initiated a $15 million class action lawsuit against York University due to anti-Semitic incidents that took place on campus. Well, that's good. Yeah, that's really good. More of this should happen. Like, the amount of anti-Semitism at all these universities is fucking crazy. Thanks for the donation, though, Bend Over.
a cow, right? You're saying the only reason it is wrong to kill them, and I know there's, just forgive me if this is not the, is because of their family, yeah? Because it harms their family. So
mostly, I would say, if we're defining ethics as morals, which is really absent of a supreme moral authority.
We're having a secular discussion.
Yes,
we can have a religious one too. But
absent of a supreme, absent of absolute morality, I think the only morality or
I've discovered non-secular debates on vegan ethics are way fucking easier. Like, they just are. Because all these religious tards always invoke, like, God's will or something. So, like, it's just so easy to make a reductio that makes them look fucking crazy. Like, they'll say, humans are divine creation from God, that's why. Okay, so if humans weren't a divine creation from God, you'd be okay with holocausting humans? Like, it's so much easier. If I'm debating a religious person, I'd rather have a secular debate at this point, or a non-secular debate.
Or ethics that matter is the social contract.
No, one second. No, because you said social contract. So you're saying that they've broken. So I've broken a social contract between.
Why are they part of the social contract and others are not? That's really the question.
So 1 second. If this person with a mental handicap has no family, and let's just say they are on a separate island, away from civilization, they can't reciprocate a social contract. Is it then okay to kill that being?
I would say from a secular perspective, certainly of a far lesser evil than killing.
I asked if it's a lesser evil. I asked, is it okay to do for a sandwich like we do to cows for burgers?
But the problem is, it's hard for me to really separate my beliefs from my personal beliefs.
Well, you've done it up until this point till it got tough.
But yes, probably taking to the logical conclusion.
It's okay to kill them beings? Just a yes or no is fine.
Probably yes.
Okay, so I can go to this civilization here myself. I can actually start breeding them, plenty of them, just like we do to animals here, just exactly the same way. Factory farms, mass killing. I can do that to those mentally disabled human beings on this separate civilization who can't form a social contract, who have no family. I can do that.
I don't think it's actually possible. So
No. It's not. I'm not asking if it's possible. It is possible.
There is a problem.
It's logically possible.
You're setting up a hypothetical that cannot exist.
No,
you cannot breed them without human beings, not people. And that is and by the way,
I cannot have a philosophical discussion.
Booty Come Donny Tellers, have you saw this? Can we watch all of it? And if you have seen it, can we still watch it? You, Lenny, and Jason.
For the Deep South Undisputed
share.
Everybody is on their feet right now. Would you look at the look on the face of the challenger? Talk about focused. He looks geared up and ready to go tonight.
That actually looks really fucking close to Big Lenny. That's actually a really good model for Big Lenny.
And his opponent, from Allentown, Pennsylvania, he is the Deep South Undisputed Champion, Lenny!
There's no way I could get into pro wrestling. It's too difficult, too much strain on the body, too much drugs and shit. I know all about it.
We are seconds away from the start of this
blow
title
my
match.
load in your mouth for your post-workout protein. How's that, Dale?
This is it, the moment we've been waiting for. The time for talking is behind us. Now these two superstars will test one another's abilities and will like never before. This is about being the best. No one's backing down here. What an impasse. Man, Michael, this is a standstill of epic proportion. No one wants to give an inch.
That's someone who gets it. Someone who knows the value of hard work and dedication.
Richard, thank you for being a positive influence in my life. Earlier, when you went to pee, I was peeing at the same time. We were pee brothers. We could have had a sword fight.
Well, that's good to know we're synchronized. Thanks for the donation, Frupert.
It would take long
I love how Jason Genova's in his underwear.
for the aggression to escalate
The
quickly
Sith
in this
Lord.
one.
You're right, Cole. These two don't like each other, and we're... Hey!
The ref's getting an earful is what's happening. Remember, in championship matches, the title cannot change hands by...
Your winner and
Lenny won? What the fuck?
Deep South.
Fucking Lenny won.
Discussion without creating hypotheticals because we can't act in the real world right now. I want to find out where you're.
I want to act in the real world.
No. You said it's okay to kill one, so is it okay to kill a billion?
Even your hypothetical when you're asking this person who is somehow living by himself on the desert island and yet surviving without any family, that is again a hypothetical that doesn't exist. I would say.
You need hypotheticals.
I would say.
Do you know how to?
Question, what if a lion was to come right now? Well, it wouldn't. So why? Yeah.
You asked me a hypothetical
Actually,
when we started this conversation.
I was going off
and now,
the previous
no, one
hypothetical,
second,
yes.
1 second. You said if a lion did this, would you stop them? Yeah.
Well, actually, no. My question wasn't hypothetical. My question was what lions do every day.
And then you
that
asked me
carnivorous
another.
animals.
You said, would you do this out in nature, kill all of these beings? Like, blah, blah, blah. You asked me to imagine.
That wasn't hypothetical. That is actually reality.
Okay.
I was because you said before that you would kill a lion to save a human. So
No, but would
I
you-
think that shows that you understand that humans have some kind of.
I think it is a hypothetical. Because you're saying, would you kill a lion? Would you kill a hot lion in this situation?
Okay,
I think
well, then I
it's
brought
not here in reality.
Well, I brought it to reality. Foxes.
You're saying
foxes. Well, I gave you a practical example.
Okay.
Go
Well, I
poison
can
foxes
give you a
to
practical
save
example.
to save
so, in a
other-
practical example, mentally handicapped, homeless person wandering the streets, has no family, and they're in isolation. That happens a lot. They wandered into the bush. No one will know they're gone. Is it okay for me to kill him and eat them?
Again, I'd still.
They can't reciprocate.
The fact that you even have to think about that, like, just... I don't know why it's so hard for people to just say, you know what, you're right, I can't think of a way to justify meat eating. Like, I don't know why it's so hard. That's what Vosh is up to.
Really? Is that true?
Openly weak.
Did you hear that the main shooter killed himself?
No, I didn't, but after he was missing for like more than 24 hours, I knew he had killed himself. There's no way the guy could have gone unfound for that long. So, yeah, I figured he had to have committed suicide. Thanks for the donation, James. Kid Boo donated $2. Let me see.
Yes, in a medical setting. But this is a doctor who knows I'm a biological woman. Call me a woman. But I had a conversation with that doctor. Why did you feel the need to call me a birthing person? Like, where did that come from?
To those of you that asked me a couple of weeks ago when I mentioned that I don't care for the Young Turks, that I don't watch the Young Turks, and you were like, well, let us in on the tea, Tabitha. First of all, one of the reasons.
So the weird phobia around recognizing people's like biological sex is fucking retarded. I'm not gonna watch The Black Conservative though. That guy is just a fucking dimwit. Thanks for the nation, Kid Boo. Dodo donated $2. Donated $2. Hey Jasmine, your dad's streaming.
Check out these NYC men who confronted an anti-Semite ripping off missing signs of Israeli children being held by Hamas. I love how they don't hold back when it comes up to hate.
I'll take a look at that in a second, thanks Ben. You're seeing this, right? Yeah. This guy does look like Jasmine's dad. He kind of does. He's less fat, but he kind of looks like him. What is this guy doing? He's gotta be so drunk. The fuck is he up to? The fuck? Yeah. Yeah, I've got to do that. I just keep forgetting. That looks fucking hilarious. Let me see.
I'm a veteran. I'm telling you.
All right,
don't do it.
I'm not fucking Jewish. He's not Jewish. I don't know if he is or not. Doesn't fucking matter. This is fucking the U.S. This is New York City. You don't have a fucking right to touch that shit. This is a free country. You can wave your Palestine flag and say death to the Jews or America, whatever you want. But we can.
Hey VG, tonight you showed just how hypocritical your beliefs are. You're against murdering animals and yet you have no problem murdering people in debates. You reduced her right to not look like an idiot to something more minuscule than her argument.
I don't know if that's hypocritical. I would call that justice, but thanks for the donation. I would have been your daddy.
Put up fucking signs, okay? Then don't rip that down. You are doing something. You're offending us, motherfucker. Yeah, you are. When you throw that on the floor, you're littering the city. In a minute, I'm gonna litter the fucking floor with you. You have a proof? So move the fuck on. You have proof they're not kidnapped? No, so shut the fuck up. I know that's what you want. I'm dying to fucking put you in the hospital. Come on, you piece of shit.
Fucking based, bro. Those people are based. We need more New Yorkers like them, for sure. Thanks for that donation, Bend Over.
Okay, social contract. They have no family and they're isolated, but they're in the bush somewhere.
One thing I don't get about the fat acceptance movement is that fat advocates will get offended if you call them fat. You said being fat should be okay, right? Okay, so why you mad I called you fat? It's your body type. You said to be positive about it, right?
Well, usually it's used as an insult, so that's why. It's like the context in which it's being said. Thanks for the donation though, Kid Boo. Dutchie donated $2. Ryan is live right now. Want to have some fun, lol. Well, he has me banned. The only way for me to fuck with him is to donate, so I don't want to give him that much money. I think I donated like $9 or $12 to him last time. But thanks for the donation, Dutchie.
That's cool.
From a secular perspective,
in your moral view, without there being a supreme being?
my personal perspective, no. But actually, probably yes.
No.
From your
So
perspective,
that's hilarious and
well, it's
that's
not
hilarious.
why. That's the thing.
That's an insane position, dude.
I mean,
come on, be honest with
why?
me. Because it's an insane position. Because murdering someone who is experiencing the world is murder.
Is he
it's wrong.
experiencing though?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Jasmine. Isaac said he only has time after 1. Well, do I have to come with you? Okay, whatever. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, of course they are. They're experienced to the level of a cow.
What do you call that experience? So, well,
Yeah.
then.
Anyways, why don't we talk about your actual
yes.
beliefs?
Well, I say my beliefs. I believe God created animals for our use.
Okay.
It's-
In the way that we're being used now. Do you live in the UK?
Yes.
Okay.
I
So
eat meat.
you eat
so
chicken?
I
You
eat
eat
chicken,
cows?
beef.
Okay.
Not
Cool.
bacon, but
Let's stick with chickens, right? So here in the UK, these chickens have been raised in like sheds.
Yeah.
They grow 4 times faster than they did in 1950, so they grow really fast.
Yeah.
And then they take these chickens. They sometimes too big to support their own body weight. Their life is basically inherent suffering, right?
Not really.
Not really?
Because you anthropomorphize. You're projecting the way you would feel if you would be in that position. The thing is, a human being in prison.
Well, they do suffer.
Not really. A human being in prison isn't so much about physical suffering; it's about mental suffering. Chickens are not.
No, I
capable
mean,
of that.
I'm talking about physical pain and a certain amount of mental anguish.
But even though they don't have mental anguish, not capable of mental anguish.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Chicken
Do
or
you have
any
evidence?
animals.
So there's no evidence that.
I don't need evidence. I think just by seeing them.
Okay,
that,
so you're just going off faith that they don't feel anything.
No, it's more than faith. I think it's.
1 second.
Yeah.
If animals.
Like, it's a weird claim to say that animals can't experience mental anguish because, 1, pain exists in the mind. Pain doesn't exist anywhere else but the mind. So, by definition, pain is a suffering of the mind. And secondly, like, they clearly do have, say, non-physical pain. So if you keep an animal in a very tight, confined space, they will clearly suffer mentally because they're in that tight, confined space.
Animals don't feel anything. Why is there kosher guidelines?
I don't know.
You can't cause pain to animals, yeah? So your religion even believes you can cause pain to animals.
Hang on. We're talking. I disagree that we should be able to cause that.
1 second.
Yeah.
How can you cause pain to a chicken if they don't experience anguish and suffering and all these things?
It's about the person, not about. And in fact, I'd argue this.
No.
It is.
1 second. So is it kosher to cause an animal suffering and then
Kosher doesn't come into it. There are specific slaughter laws of how to slaughter, and it's not just got to do with animal suffering. We're allowed to slaughter.
Thank you for that, 9014. Excellent spam as always.
If I said, Richard, you're looking lean, would that be insulting? No. But if I said, Richard, you look fat or your wife's fat, why is that all of a sudden insulting? Both phrases are used in the same context. They said being fat is positive, right?
Oh.
Because most people don't want to be fat, and when you say somebody's looking lean or in shape, that's not an insult, whereas being fat is generally considered a bad thing, and it's being used as an insult. Thanks for that, Nation Kid Boo. You're a dumbass. I feel like I need stronger drugs. Like, is there anything like nicotine that's just stronger? Because... well, you can only have so much, or else you'll start to get sick and get headaches. I am suffering.
Gideon is now doing a Discord Q&A on his stream. You should try to join.
What?
Do you want something like a tranquilizer?
I don't know. Is it in the general lobby? Which, cam only?
We understand, like what we were saying to each other, but I can guarantee you, if you speak with her, it's just riddles upon riddles upon riddles upon riddles. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Hey, don't mean to butt in here. How do I get into the live Q&A thing that he's doing right now?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Vegan Games. Hi.
You gotta be a fucking. You gotta be a sub, and if you're a sub of a different level, the higher levels, if you pay more money, you get the front of the line, and if you pay less money, you're in the back.
You're Dying Ember.
I see. Yeah, I guess I'm not gonna be debating him. Whatever. Anyway, thanks for that, Nation Niggas in Paris.
So are there guidelines for how to treat animals in the Torah?
There is a general.
Am I allowed to be cruel to an animal?
No.
So
that is not about the animal at all.
Oh, really?
It's about
it's not because the animal can experience cruelty. So how can
no.
you possibly be cruel to an animal that can't experience cruelty?
Because it's not about the animal; it's about the person.
So,
in fact, I would argue.
How is
I'd
it
argue
cruel
in a
if they can't
secular
experience?
society.
So, one second. Do chickens have a brain?
Not really. Not a brain that they're not complex emotions. They have basic instincts, but not complex emotions.
Do they have a brain? I asked.
Of course, they have a brain.
Do they have a functioning nervous system?
Yes.
Do they feel pain?
Yes.
But the chickens in factory farms don't experience suffering?
No.
Sorry, mate. That's ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. They might experience some pain,
Well,
some
what
physical pain.
What is physical pain?
Depends what the kind.
This is something that you will commonly encounter with religious tards. I've had a lot of religious debates where they claim this, that animals cannot feel pain or they can't suffer. And they will use like the most bizarre copes. Like you'll ask them, like, do you have a pet? And then they'll say, oh yeah, I got a pet dog. And then like you'll say, okay, so like if the dog is whimpering in serious pain or something, like, or acting like it's in serious pain, you believe it's not suffering. Like you wouldn't go to the vet immediately so that you can, I don't know, get some medication for it so it wouldn't be in any pain because you believe it's not in pain. And then they'll be like, well, yeah, I mean, sometimes I just made like dinner and then my dog gets like sick or something and it's whimpering like crazy, or it got bitten by another dog, and yeah, I'll just like wait around the house for a while before going to a vet or something. Like it's I don't know what it is with these people. Religious people just tend to be insanely dishonest, so they're probably just full of shit.
Kind of chickens kinds of chickens experience isn't any major physical pain. Most pain, no, because you're
taking the piss now.
It's not. It's because most pain is mental, not physical.
No, I'm not talking about most pain.
No,
I'm talking about can chickens experience pain and suffering, and you're saying no.
Suffering is emotional. Suffering is not physical,
so
unless it's something like really out to the norm. But just for chickens to have a small place to live, they don't suffer from that.
So basically,
you would suffer because you have a mental.
So does your religion teach you that animals don't suffer?
My religion doesn't teach me anything about animals.
Your religion, you just told me it teaches you not to be cruel.
Not to be cruel, but that's about
How
the person.
How can you be cruel to an animal?
Again, that's...
but no, it's not, dude. How can you possibly be cruel to an animal if they can't experience suffering?
Because if you want to inflict pain on something, and that's the okay, let's try to explain.
So when they experience pain, they don't experience suffering along with it.
No, there's not. It's not the same thing.
What is it? What's pain?
The main part of suffering is emotional. It's not from the physical.
And animals don't have emotions.
No, not in that way.
What do you mean in that way?
When a chicken is raised in a small place, he doesn't realize there's this whole world outside. It's not the same as a human being in prison, that they got the mental anguish of wanting to be free. Chickens don't want to be free. They've got no capacity. They've got no understanding. They've got no knowledge.
That is objectively false. They will be under distress if you keep them in a confined space. And and they will actively try to seek larger open spaces.
Freedom. They don't know about that. You couldn't even explain it. Even if a chicken was free and then you later caged it, it still doesn't
You're talking about
just
I never talk about the idea of knowing what it's... No, cows and pigs and like...
no, they don't have this concept.
If you take a free pig and put him in a cage, they have a concept of what it's like to be free. So don't...
No, they don't have this concept.
Yeah, they do. I mean, you're making irrational claims.
If you take a pig and you feed
If you take a dog and you let them run around and do whatever they want, and then you put them in a cage... You don't think they suffer and want to escape the cage?
No. Depends how you treat them. I've got animals.
Come on, brother. So you're saying it's not bad? So caging hens is not bad?
I've got animals, and I can open the cage, and they will not escape because they've got their food.
Because they've been in there the whole time, dude. So they've got Stockholm syndrome. They don't know to leave.
No, I've got goats. I have goats who are raised in a field, a big field, and now they're living in a much smaller place. Not tiny. They've got a place to run about, but they're happy there. They get their needs met. And I open the door. They will not run out.
If I take a free animal from the wild, like an elephant, and I put them in a small cage, they do not suffer because of that. Yeah.
Depends how small.
No. Small as they can't turn around.
Then they suffer physically.
So animals can suffer physically?
Suffering is emotional. Suffering is not physical.
So that's suffering?
To a degree, yes.
Okay. And can chickens suffer physically to a degree?
All animals can suffer physically to a degree.
Okay, so now they can suffer.
No.
Whoa, Joey's gotten round. I just realized that. He's become a thick boy.
Listen to the hate little children are being taught in a mosque. Not Iran/Gaza. But in Colorado. Guess MH.
Let me take a look.
Israel is what group that we know today? Israel. Who do you call today? The Yehud. Who are the Yehud? In English terms, Jews. They were given covenants and promises and agreements that they're supposed to what? Follow. And what do they do every single time? They don't obey. They break their covenant. They lie and they break their contract. So I'm going to ask you, if this is the group of people who broke their rules with Allah, should you trust these people today? Beni Israel was sent many, many messengers and prophets. They killed some of them. They even tried to kill Isa alayhi salam. If that wasn't all bad enough, Allah Azza wa Jal giving them one day that they don't do no business. What day was that? For the Yehud, what day is their day they don't do nothing? They just devote it for ibadah. What day is it? Saturday. So the people, they were prevented from doing what? Business. So there's a group of fishermen. Who knows the story? You guys don't know?
Yeah, anti-Semitism is pretty goddamn common in the Muslim world. There was a mosque in Toronto that had an imam who was saying he wants to kill all Jews, all atheists and non-believers, and there was a protest in front of that mosque, and the media was lying about what the protest was about. There was also a Muslim private school in Toronto that was handing out textbooks saying that the Holocaust never happened, and Jews made it up so that they could take control of everything. It is rampant, and a lot of people don't want to acknowledge it.
To establish they experience pain.
But they don't suffer mentally, you don't think?
No.
Okay, and do you have evidence that
I
they don't suffer?
I don't have,
so
I
do
don't have evidence, but I think the evidence there in front of us.
So where does the pain? Where do they receive the pain? That's all. Where do they receive the pain?
There's a difference between physical pain and mental
So
pain.
they feel it here in their leg, and they don't have a brain that processes that pain.
No, all they've got is an instinct to pull away from the pain.
One second. They're like a plant then. So do animals experience pain, the reaction of pain in their brain?
Obviously.
Okay.
All pain is experienced in the brain,
okay.
but it's an instinct. It's like you touch something hot, you pull away. That's an instinct.
And if they don't pull away,
what happens? They do pull away.
No, 1 second. In a factory farm, they're born into suffering because they're grown too big. They can't support their body weight. They lie on the farm. They often die on the farm floor. They don't experience. They 100% do. You don't know what you're talking about. Millions die on the floor. There's statistics for this. It's about 4% death rate in factory farm sheds. I'm an investigator as well. I'm not just a street debater. Millions die on the floor.
4% is not, but okay.
When you talk about 1.1 billion chickens every year, that's quite a lot. It's like 40 million or something like that. So those ones that die and suffer and die on the floor, they're not experiencing any mental suffering. Therefore, it's okay.
No, yes.
So it's okay to do to them.
Yes.
Okay. Well.
It's bad to cause pain to animals, and I'd say even in a secular world, because that makes you a bad person.
So is causing
it's
physical...
about the
One
person.
second. Is causing physical pain cruelty?
Gratuitous pain, yes.
No. Is causing animals physical pain cruelty?
It's not a yes or no. I'm adding a word. Gratuitous pain. It's when you're causing pain just for the sake of causing pain.
Okay, and if I'm causing pain... If I'm causing them needless...
Animal testing for medical reasons, go ahead.
So in the context of food animals...
Eat them. Go ahead.
So can I be cruel?
No.
To animals for food?
The cruelty is not part of what you need to eat them.
It is an inherent part of factory farming. It's inherent. It's in its nature. You can't avoid it. Is it okay to be cruel to those birds in order to eat them in your religion?
It is okay to raise them in a factory farm setting because the cruelty is done with a purpose. You're not being cruel for the sake of being cruel. You're being cruel for purpose to be able to eat them,
in
to
your
raise
religion,
them.
In your religion, it's okay to be cruel to animals for food.
No, it's not cruel.
Is that what your religion says? Because we're going to look this up after.
I disagree that that's cruel.
No, 1 second. Causing animals physical pain when we don't need to eat them, we don't need it for our health, we don't need it to survive. Most people agree it's wrong to be cruel to animals, even for food.
They don't. Most people eat chicken.
No, they believe it's wrong to be cruel, but they conduct a behaviour that is in conflict with their beliefs.
No, it's haven't they got the balls to tell you, I don't really care about the chickens, I'm still going to eat
Some people have the balls, some people actually
yeah.
do care about chickens, but they eat it,
But
right?
they still eat it. So
you said it's not cruel.
Yes.
So it's not even cruel. So basically,
Bro, I want to eat whatever Joey's eating, because, I am kind of sick of dieting, to be honest.
I can take, let's say cows, I can boil them alive with no stunning, no kosher slaughter. I can just torture them and boil them just to eat them if I'm going to eat that soup.
Why would you need to do that?
Why do you even need kosher slaughter if cruelty doesn't matter in the context of food? Why does kosher slaughter exist?
Boiling alive is an act of cruelty.
To eat them. It's in the context of food.
Because the cruelty killing tastes better.
Is that...
Joey really should have gone for the non-secular sort of debate argument, because this guy tried to make secular arguments, which is fine. I don't know if he preferred that, but I'd rather debate people, based on their own set of moral principles and not just, deliberately try to make secular arguments when they wouldn't, otherwise. And it's just easier. Show that these people's, moral principles are just fucking silly. Sex Addict donated $2. That science snitch girl clearly doesn't value being logically consistent or any logic for that matter. What a pitiful person. It's people like that hold down humanity, literally. Oh, yeah. Dude, the funniest part of that whole debate was she was claiming I'm, doing some immoral act of God by, killing carnivorous animals. But then, she eats meat. And then I pointed out, okay, wouldn't that apply to you too? It was so ridiculous. And then she realized that I caught her in that contradiction and she was like, oh shit. She's really, really dumb, dude. And she has no interest in actually learning any of these things. I asked her so many times what a contradiction was beforehand, and she had so much time to prepare and demonstrate what a contradiction was and understand the term, and she still didn't understand it. And other terms like question begging that anybody who's graduated high school should really know what question begging is, because I'm pretty sure, like, at least here, I think you need at least one philosophy credit to graduate high school. So, she still didn't look up what question begging was and didn't understand it. It was baffling. Thanks for the donation, though, Sex Addict. Appreciate it.
My empire dire firefly or entire like pyre fire guy while I no mind to higher flying higher than the flyest sire, preach the fire, desire for reaching the spire. Converse with walls as all of your contorted calls are all but tall, I snore at your.
Alright, well, thanks for the donation, Dr. Octopus. Those are some great rhymes. You don't need a philosophy in the USA. Didn't need one. I'm in Ontario too. Okay. Like, at the very least, since I brought up that term, you would have expected her to learn what that meant.
An Arizona Republican has come up with a new plan for cutting the fat from budgets, cutting the fat from people. What? That's right. David Schweikart wants this is Representative David Schweikart to you, wants Arizona to start providing the weight loss drug Ozempic to people who receive public health assistance. This is what he said. He said next year, one of the GLP-1s, the Ozempics, go off patent. Schweikart said during a presentation to the Four Peaks Young Republicans. The price is gonna crash. What would happen if you took morbidly obese populations on Medicare, Medicaid, Indian Health Services, the VA, and gave them access to it? Then he said, in case you were gonna say this, it's not fat shaming, it's fat loving. Schweikart said, we can love our brothers and sisters back to health. Okay, except hold that thought because there's a lot of health consequences of Ozempic. The social, again, okay, so if you don't know
Ozempic has virtually zero side effects. It is extraordinarily safe.
You're obviously not an A-lister in Hollywood. No, it has just gone, it's made the rounds, influencers are hot.
By the way, there are a number of GLP-1 agonists. Some of the earlier generations had more side effects. Ozempic in particular has virtually zero side effects. Oinky, you donate $2. How do you rank the candidates? Let me know for Trump, Biden, RFK, Jank, DeSantis. I would rank Biden highest. Then Jank, then RFK, then DeSantis. Thanks for the donation, Oinky.
Mocking it. Hollywood celebrities swear they're not on it / they secretly are on it. And social media users tout the drugs as weight loss marvels. But experts have warned that Ozempic side effects, which include malnutrition and
That's not a side effect of Ozempic. That's a side effect of eating less. Same with the gastrointestinal problems. That's a side effect of eating less.
Gastrointestinal problems.
Like, again, if you do a randomized trial and you equate caloric intake, the people with the equal caloric intake would have the same symptoms.
Problems aren't as pleasant as Ozempic's obsessives may present. Little is known about the long-term impact.
This quote is from Riley Rogerson at the Daily Beast. Like, what does his quote matter? Like, what? Oh my god. This is just retarded. Yeah, Young Turks journalism at its finest.
What's up, Richard? A lot of these carnivore guys have this grey/dull orange skin tone. Stan Efferding kinda has this skin tone. You know what I mean? Is there an actual medical reason for this? Thanks.
It's probably from eating a diet that's so low in carotenoids. That would be my best guess. Carotenoids give you a darker, glowing, sort of healthy look to your skin, and if you're not consuming any vegetables, yeah, you'll get that kind of like dull, pale skin tone. Thanks for that donation, Saxby.
Impact of the drug and other GLP-1s. Again, it was developed for a purpose. It was developed to help people who were at severe risk because of their weight. It was first developed and the FDA approved it as a type 2 diabetes medication. Commercials for the medication was used to tout those taking the drug could experience some weight loss. And it didn't take long for doctors, however, to start prescribing Ozempic.
It's not just some weight loss, depending on the dose. I mean, it's not uncommon for you to see people losing 60 to 80 pounds and keeping that weight off.
As an off-label weight loss medication, another GLP-1, Wegovy, has the same active ingredient as Ozempic and was FDA approved for chronic.
Yeah, so again, these are all different GLP-1 agonists. Ozempic is one type, and it has the least amount of side effects.
Weight management for adults who are overweight. And yes,
like, she doesn't even know what the fuck she's talking about. She thinks these are all the same. They're not all the same. They're slightly different. VG's future test tube babies, donate $2. Hey Richard, Destiny said he is open and receptive to talking to Dr. Avi about the Israel situation. Can you DM Avi to hit up the manlet? Thanks. Okay, sure. I don't know if he's in his chat now. No. I'll message Avi, just tell him to reach out whenever he has time. All right, message them. Thanks for the donation, VG's future test tube babies. I'm never having children, ever.
Elon Musk admitted to taking Wegovy. That's right, he did. You could look it up. That being said, a lot of course, private insurers are not covering Ozempic, so it's hard for people to get access.
Private insurers aren't covering Ozempic because it's expensive. That's why.
To it, Medicare can cover medications for type 2 diabetes, but due to a 2003 law, the program.
No, that's bullshit. They're not covering it because of it being expensive. That's why. It has nothing to do with the fucking law.
Can't cover drugs specifically used for weight loss. So seems like.
So that's bullshit. I don't even think that quote is accurate. So Ozempic was developed as a drug to treat type 2 diabetes. Aside from causing weight loss, it does regulate blood sugar. So that could not possibly be a reason why insurers are denying the treatment. It's entirely due to cost.
Seems like a little bit of a bureaucratic thing. The problem is, what the hell? Is this actually gonna help? Would it even help? Well, apparently.
Yes, look at the fucking randomized trials, you dumbass.
According to the Arizona Joint Economic Committee, of which Schweikert is the vice.
What do you mean Joint Economic Committee? Look at the fucking randomized trials.
Chair.
Oh my God.
Spending on obesity is huge. Committee economists project that between 2024 and 2023, government spending on obesity and obesity-related diseases will amount to 4.
Blame hummus. Look what they're willing to sacrifice for pointless asymmetrical rocket fire.
Let me take a look. Children killed in the Israeli-Palestine conflict from 2000 till today. Well, I mean, it is Hamas's fault, but those numbers, I don't know if they're accurate. Thanks for the donation, Darth Putin. Oink donated $2. I'm surprised on your rankings of the candidates. Biden and Cenk are probably the most pro-Palestine of those candidates. Biden is giving military support to Israel, so I don't know about that. Even though not really for Biden, is it because the other candidates are so bad in your opinion that you'd choose Cenk or Biden? Yeah, well, they're just so terrible. Cenk is really bad with foreign policy, but, like, again, as if DeSantis would be any better. Thanks for that donation, Oink.
$1 trillion, which is just, half a day of supporting wars in Gaza. Anyway, however, federally, the Congressional Budget Office was like, no, this is not the way. They said it's not gonna make a dent. They said the budgetary effect of Medicare covering anti-obesity medications would depend on drug costs at the time. At current prices, which could come over $1,000 a month, the CBO assessed that Medicare coverage of drugs like Ozempic for weight loss would, quote, increase overall federal spending. But we'd all walk a red
That's probably false, by the way.
carpet and be starving ourselves. What? I don't know. Like, this is so funny to me. It seems like any way they can blame people and they pour.
This was a really, really stupid video they uploaded. Who they're quoting Riley Rogerson from the Daily Beast. Why they don't even understand what Ozempic is. I don't know why they even bothered talking about that. It's so stupid. Let's check out natural hypertrophy.
Hello YouTube! Today we're going to be talking about power building. But before we get into this, you might have noticed that there is a new addition to the setup, and that is a mic. I've heard you loud and clear, the audio of the phone is not the best, especially if you have to
Yeah, please.
listen to it for hours because my videos are very long. So I tried to set up something that would be better for your ears. What I want from you is this. Let me know what you think. Do you think this is an improvement? If you like it better, I see absolutely no issue with recording almost every single video with the mic. That way, you're not going to be completely disgusted by the audio every time you click one of my videos. And I can make even longer videos in the future because I know it's going to be pleasurable to you. So in the comments, you guys let me know and let us get started with today's topic. So power building is something that I've mentioned many times on this channel, and you might know that I am not an advocate of this method at all. Today, I thought it would be a good idea to take my time and explain to you exactly why. So for those of you who don't know what power building is, here is a simple definition. Power building is a blend of the three main powerlifting lifts: squat, bench press, and deadlift, combined with bodybuilding accessories and volume. Basically, it means starting a workout with heavy weights and few reps to build up your strength, then moving on to lighter weights with more reps to help encourage muscle growth. And based on this definition,
this literally just sounds like general strength training.
It seems quite reasonable, right? There's nothing that stares at you in the face and makes you believe that this system
I
is
want
going
to do
be
this.
a complete
Romantic face, smiling face with hearts.
Wow. Yeah, those are very beautiful birds. My God. I would like to do that too. Thanks for the donation, Papacato.
failure. So on paper, this should work. It should be a system that allows both for strength gains and size gains at the same time, which is of course possible and desirable. This is how you're supposed to want to train. So at face value, this is okay. But if you look beyond the definition and beyond the theory, you'll see that trying to apply this definition in practice is actually impossible. And this is the reason why I say that power building is an abomination. It's because it goes against everything logical. It is counter nature. And
It is literally just concurrent training. That's all it is.
because it is counter nature, it usually fails to deliver on both of the fronts it promises to help you develop, both strength and size. So today we're going to delve into it, and I'm going to explain to you exactly why that is the case. Not to discourage you to train for strength or even to follow power building, but just to allow you to reflect on the method that you're following and avoid the most common mistakes that people commit when they try to apply this training style. So the first thing and the first issue in reality with power building is its backbone. As the definition states, the backbone of a power building program is going to be the big three. So the bench, squat, and the deadlift is going to be the main meal, if you will. It's going to be what makes up the majority of what you're going to be doing in the gym. And that is because there is a power portion in power building, and that power portion comes from power lifting. So you're not just training for strength. Power building is not just training for general strength. You're training for a very specific type of strength on very specific lifts. And on top of that, the type of strength you're trying to develop on these lifts is one rep max strength, which is also only one kind of strength. So we see that already power building restricts your ability to train quite a lot. And that is
No. Again, it's concurrent training. If you're training strength and hypertrophy at the same time, you're going to want to do it while you're bulking or at least at maintenance, but that's not true.
questionable, in my opinion, because if you're going to want to mix size and strength, what makes powerlifting a good choice as opposed to other strength sports? For example, why is no one doing weight building, weightlifting, and bodybuilding? I think it could work.
Because weightlifting is highly specific, extremely technique intensive. It's difficult to actually find gyms where you can even do weightlifting. And weightlifting is not really so much like strength building. It's a lot of technique. It's highly technique focused and power focused. So why would you expect people to incorporate like a highly, like concurrently train both for weightlifting, which is highly technical? You need to practice weightlifting like at least 4 times per week to actually get good at it. You have to do a lot of technique practice and then concurrently do that with hypertrophy training. You just wouldn't expect most people to be interested in that.
Quite well. Why is no one doing strong building, strongman and bodybuilding? I think that these lifts and the athletes that follow these.
Well, that's basically a misnomer. Like most of strongman training is powerlifting training. It's just that when you do an event, your training becomes more specific around the events you're going to do. But strongman is essentially training for powerlifting, essentially.
Sports are just as big as powerlifters, so why are we all obsessed with power building instead? And you could tell me that it's because
powerlifting is just a more like approachable and like well-known sport. Simple as that.
What makes the most sense? Again, you would need to explain that to me. You could also say that weight building or strong building sounds stupid. In my opinion, it doesn't sound more stupid than power building, because if you look at the semantics, power building, so you're building power, so you're a powerlifter. Where is the bodybuilding in this?
This guy's a fucking retard. Like, he literally doesn't understand that you can train concurrently. Yeah, this video is pointless to watch. You are not guts. Let's see.
Before we get started, as you can see, the mic is back. I've read your comments. The overwhelming majority of people find this audio to be much better, and so do I. So I'm going to be using it for every video starting today. And it's just in time because, again, this video is going to be very long, so you're going to get to enjoy a smoother voice. I also followed your advice. The mic is closer to my face, as comfortable as it can be for me, of course. I don't want to have the mic literally in my mouth as I speak, and I have a pop filter. So I think that this is going to be as good as it gets. So that being said, let us get started. My goal today is to discuss the character of Guts from Berserk in order to answer one simple question. Why do so many young men manage to relate to a character that was never intended to be written as a role model in?
He wasn't intended to be written as a role model, but as the story went along, he's not a role model. His story is analogous to everybody's suffering. As Jordan Peterson would say, the character of Guts is the archetypical character that has to prevail against the suffering and the burdens of the world. Like, that's basically what he is. He is the embodiment of any challenge or any suffering that you have to endure. That's why the character is so endearing, because although he may be very different from you, he may have different interests, different goals, different lifestyle, all that. He is basically the embodiment of any sort of challenge or any sort of suffering that is unavoidable that you have to endure. And he does endure it, and he does overcome it, and that's why a lot of people see him as a role model and get inspiration from the character of Guts. This guy, like, he's so stupid. He has the dumbest fucking takes.
In the first place, a question I've asked myself for years now because I'm a huge Berserk fan. I follow Berserk.
Like, in the Lost Children chapter, let's see, Guts, there is no paradise. In the Lost Children chapter, Guts meets this little girl, and this little girl is abused by her parents. Some of her father's friends sexually abused her. She tried to run away from home to avoid that abuse. And then she wanted to follow Guts along so that she could run away from that childhood abuse. And Guts told her, there's no paradise for you to escape to. And basically he showed her all the demons that are chasing him and trying to kill him. I'll try to open up this fucking panel in a new tab so you can see it. So Guts showed her all the demons that are chasing him and that his life is no safer than the life she has. Basically, a lot of her early life was similar to what Guts experienced. Guts was abused by his father. His father also allowed for him to be sexually abused by another man. Guts ran away from his abusive family, essentially. And also some of his relationships that he made later on, like the relationship he had with Griffith, was similar to the relationship that she had with one of her friends. One of her friends became an apostle, which is basically a demon in the Guts universe. Guts also had his friend Griffith become an apostle or a demon. So even though like Guts's life can't really be compared to this little girl, there's enough there where you can see the parallels between Guts's suffering and what he's going through and the kind of things that he has to fight against and literally anybody else. So that's why people connect with the story so much. Like, that story could literally apply to anybody, even though Guts is nothing like them.
Berserk on the internet and social media, and it's something I've always remarked and it always puzzled me. And since I have a YouTube channel, thankfully I don't have to scream my ideas into the void. I can share them with you. So my goal is going to be to offer a psychoanalysis of the character of Guts, which will also work as a psychological portrait of the modern male, since, according to the law of transference in psychology, the issues and struggles that Guts go through and all of his psychological trauma are also very likely to teach us a lot about the men that identify to him. So in a sense, it's an excuse for me to geek out about one of my favorite stories, but also in a sense, method that will allow me to help you through a fictional character, which is something that I believe is great because I don't know you personally, but I know Guts, and through Guts, I can also know you. So that is the point today. If you are on board, I think you're going to have a good time. And I think it's also going to help clarify a thing or two about the story of Berserk. Because a lot of the Guts worship I see on the internet seems to come from people who sadly seem to misunderstand what the character stands for, but most importantly, what the story of Berserk is about. And that leads them to idolize and then mimic behaviors that are problematic in that they are certain to make their life more difficult in the long run if they don't put in the work to fix them. So if you are in that boat, or if you're just interested by the topic, sit down and grab a drink because it's going to be a long discussion. So let us get started. First off, if you clicked, I suppose you know who Gus is, but if you don't, just for the sake of basing my psychoanalysis on something tangible that we can all agree on, here is a quick backstory of the character. So, Guts was a born orphan, meaning that both his parents were already dead before he took his first breath. His mother was hanged, and he was birthed directly from the tree. After that, he was taken in by a prostitute who also died of
He was born from a corpse. His mother was hung as a heretic, and she was pregnant while she was hung. And his dead mother gave birth to him after she was hung.
The bubonic plague, and was then adopted by the quote-unquote...
He's getting so many story details wrong. So Guts had an adopted mother. His mother adopted him, and then she later fell to the plague. And she had a boyfriend named Gambino.
Have you watched American Psycho? Thoughts? Also, have you read the book? It's way more gruesome than the movie, but it's also autistic and pretentious. A whole chapter will be him describing how luxurious everything in his closet is.
I've seen both. I like both. The book is a lot different than the movie, and it kind of has a different point, but they both stand on their own pretty well. I wouldn't say one's better than the other. Thanks for the donation, Darth Putin. So he's getting a bunch of story details wrong. His adopted mother had a boyfriend named Gambino. They both took him in as like mother and father. She later got the plague after Guts had been living with her for quite some time.
Boyfriend of the prostitute was a mercenary named Gambino who never gave him any love whatsoever, and the only thing he ever taught him was how to fight, how to make a living on the battlefield. At some point, this substitute fighter betrays him entirely.
Tool donated $3, let me see. Yes, rape my ears. Wow. Panda Clumsy. Oh my god. I gotta see that again. I don't know how they don't hurt themselves more often. I like how they roll. Thank you for that, Tool. Appreciate the donation, dude.
Because he sells him to a fellow soldier. And by sell him, I mean that he literally sells his boy for a night of sex. So Guts gets raped at a very, very young age by a much bigger and a much stronger man that he eventually kills, and then he goes on to also kill his adoptive father. And then he spends the rest...
Have you ever watched the debate between Lawrence Krauss and Hamzat Sortis? It happened quite long ago, but it's one of the best and entertaining debates on religion and science.
No, I haven't seen it. Thanks for the donation, F. So the way he's telling the story again is kind of misleading. He says he goes on to kill his adopted father. It had nothing to do with the rape. His adopted father was attacking him, and he had no other choice but to defend himself. His adopted father lost a leg, couldn't fight anymore, and then basically became an alcoholic, went insane, and then attacked Guts, blaming him for all the bad things that happened to him.
The rest of his life, the time that we spend with him, as a mercenary himself, because it's the only thing he knows, until he meets a band of mercenaries as well, the Band of the Ark, that become like a new family to him. But sadly, this respite only lasts for a time because the band is also destroyed by a grand-scale satanic ritual named the Eclipse, at which point Guts is left all alone to take revenge on the person who caused all of this, aka Griffith, the leader of the band and his former friend. And to do so, he must face darkness and demons alone, armed with a mechanic arm, a giant sword, and his rage for only companions. So that is the gist, that is the surface level of the story. But of course, Berserk is not only that. If it were the case, it would be quite boring and it wouldn't have become the magnum opus that we all know and love so much. The reason why people relate to the story of Berserk and relate to Guts in particular is because of all of the things underneath, all of the symbolism, all of the things that we can relate to, because at first glance, none of them is relatable, right? I mean, you were born most likely to two parents, maybe you were raised by only one parent, but you were never taken in by mercenaries, you never had to kill to survive. I hope you were never raped when you were a kid, and if you were, my heart goes out to you. But Guts goes through such an immense amount of trauma and hardship that it is clearly hyperbolic, meaning that it's clearly exaggerated on purpose. And that's not an issue. You see, some people would point that out and say, well, this is not realistic. But we never needed stories to be realistic to relate to them. If anything, if things are exaggerated, it makes it easier for us to find things that we can apply to our own lives. And this goes down to, this goes all the way back also to Greek mythology. If you look at Greek mythology, the epics were super hyperbolic. Most of them were mythological in nature, meaning that they did not represent what reality is. And it didn't stop that genre from becoming the basis of what we know today as the hero's journey, which is both a literary device that allows one to craft a structure that a hero needs to follow in order to make a good story via character development and via plot advancements, but also a psychological theme that is also critical to understand the development of the individual, because every single person goes through the hero journey. There are small modifications, certain steps that some people skip, but overall it's a pretty good representation of the steps that every single man and woman needs to go through at some point or the other. And the story of Guts is no different. He also goes through a hero journey. But his is a bit different because the story of Berserk is not an epic tale. There are epic battles within Berserk, but the story itself is a tragic story. It's a story that focuses on misery, on hatred, on trauma, all very dark and taboo themes. And this is the reason why also so many people can relate to it. Is because we have a much easier time relating to characters that go through misery arcs, for the simple reason that while not everyone gets to experience a great life and great joys in life, we all at some point or the other must experience misery. And this is why the literally me characters tend to be tragic characters. They tend to be characters who have terrible lives, because following the life of someone who had a great childhood and then goes on to college and then gets married and nothing bad ever happens to them, I mean, it's very nice and all, but there's not much for us to glean in there, right? There's not much for us to connect to, and there's nothing for us to learn, because we only learn through struggle. So when a character never faces struggle, he has nothing to teach us. Guts is the embodiment of struggle, and so we can learn from him. We can learn from reading the story of Berserk to understand how he manages to actually face all of this adversity, survive, and become a better person. And some people point that out and say that this worship of the literally me character is because young men mistake these tragic characters for male power fantasies. And I think that there is some truth in that. We'll get
really isn't a male power fantasy thing. Like, to some extent you can maybe argue it is, but Guts is not powerful compared to his enemies. His enemies are much stronger, much faster than he is, and through sheer will and determination, insane work ethic, and in cunning and intelligence, he's able to defeat them. Like, again, that's kind of what makes the character interesting and endearing. If he was just like this ultimate killer badass who could just annihilate his enemies, the story wouldn't have been as interesting. Like, yeah, he's extremely strong, but again, compared to his enemies, he's not.
Back to it, but I think it's also quite diminutive. It is reductive to think that the only reason why these characters are beloved is because of a misinterpretation on the behalf of young readers. There's something else to it, and that something else is what I just described. These characters represent the darkness that we all have within us. And oftentimes this darkness is not welcomed by society. Mainstream movies, Disney movies, all of these things only feed us the bright side. There might be some darkness here and there, but it's always going to be extremely limited. And this doesn't feel real to us because we know that life is not that. So when we see a character that is unbounded and can be evil, chaotic, to a level where there seems to be no limit to the depravities they can engage in, it's freeing and it's liberating for us because we can experience catharsis through these characters. We can live through them because we are limited in our day-to-day life. We have to wear masks.
There's a reason why men in particular really love the story of Berserk, and I think it's a natural male thing to have those violent urges to, like, literally crush your enemies. So, I don't know what he's going on about. It's again, I think everybody sort of has a natural inclination to want to fight, at the very least.
We have to make sure that we don't overstep certain boundaries. And so we do not get to experience the full panel of human emotions that a story like Berserk is going to shape.
Dude, why is it that every time I go to a non-vegan place they always give me a weird stare or sound fucking rude when I ask for the vegan option? Is it because they feel guilty that they aren't vegan, so giving us bad looks makes us look bad?
Yeah, it's either that or they're just fucking cunts. Who knows? Maybe challenge them to a fight or a cage match. That'll probably resolve things. Thanks for the donation, Vegan Pizza. Appreciate it.
Aimlessly represent. So this is also why I always have an issue with people who present Berserk as this gory or hyper-violent manga. It's because it's only looking at the surface level, right? The story of Berserk is all of these things, but it's simply because it aims and it seeks to represent and to showcase parts of society that are hidden most of the time, and that when they are represented for what they are, yes, appear horrible. But reality is horrible sometimes, and we shouldn't shy away from it just because it is bad and just because it is shocking. If anything, taboo topics and shocking topics need to be at the center of our lives because these are the things that might end up eventually damaging your ability to experience a happy and fulfilling existence. So Guts is a bit like a sacrificial scapegoat in a sense. He suffers so that we do not have to suffer.
Here is the link to the debate at the point where it starts. I hope sometime you will react to it when you've time.
I can guarantee you I will probably never react to this. I don't see much point in reacting to a 10-year-old debate. But I might watch that in my spare time. Thanks for the donation, F. This makes no sense. Like, again, the point of the story of Berserk is for Guts to be a sort of analogy for the suffering everybody goes through. Like, there is an extremely important manga panel where, again, he says there's no paradise to escape to. So the point of Berserk isn't to offload your suffering and get some sort of catharsis for it. It's to show you there's no way to escape from your suffering, and you have to bear it and you have to fight against it.
Suffer because he's of course at the center of the story of Berserk, and he's also at the center of the tragedy because the amount, like, if you make a list of all of the bad things that happen to Guts, you'll be flabbergasted because he literally is a magnet for misery. And we'll see later that this is quite literal because of the brand of sacrifice, and it is actually extremely interesting, the symbolical importance of this brand and what it represents when it comes to psychology and to trauma in particular. But we'll get back to that. The reason why I want to insist on this is that I, of course, perfectly understand why people relate to Guts. He's a highly sympathetic character because he represents all of these things as I just described. But something I want to highly emphasize this video on is this. My point is that many people relate to Guts for the wrong reasons, and so the lessons they will take from him will also be the wrong lessons. Because even though Guts is an anti-hero, he has traits of the anti-hero, it is incorrect to say that he's 100% that. To me, Guts represents a completely different archetype, and that
he doesn't understand what an anti-hero is.
Is the archetype of the tragic hero. A tragic hero is a person
He is an anti-hero. He just doesn't understand what an anti-hero is.
fated by the gods or by some supernatural forces to doom and destruction, or at least a great level of suffering. And that type of hero was extremely popular at a certain time in Europe. In reality, one could say that it was actually created by the Bible, because the Bible has multiple iterations of the tragic hero, a person that God chooses to suffer, not just because they must suffer, but because they must learn from it. It is going to transcend them, and through the struggle, they will become greater. I don't want to get into religion too much because I have a different discussion on Berserk and religion in my back pocket that I want to read at some point. But in the universe of Berserk, the reason why Guts is tested is not because God wants him to become a better person. God in the universe of Berserk is not a benevolent being. But again, I don't want to talk about that too much. So the reason why I insist on this and on this tragic hero archetype is because since Guts is often mistaken for an anti-hero, young men then look at the traits of the anti-hero and they think, oh, these are the things I must emulate. But I'm here to tell you that all of the traits that Guts and...
Are you gonna get Baldur's Gate 3? It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, probably eventually. There's a lot of games that I want to get through, but probably around late December, January-ish time, I'll start playing Baldur's Gate 3. Thanks for that donation, LMAO. Wow. Fad Fudge, Nutellers, was there anyone in your high school that was obsessed with you, like a teacher or peer? Yeah, there was one girl who was really, really into me. She was cute. I got a bad feeling about her, so I never ended up going out with her, but she was like totally obsessed with me. I found her attractive enough, but yeah, I just didn't get a good vibe off of her. And I think I was right about that. There's some funny things that just made me question her character. Thanks for the donation though, Fad Fudge. Josie Sell, donatillers, do you agree that the hypertrophic range is 5 to 30? Yes. 5 being at the extremely low end, 30 being at the extremely high end. Generally speaking, hypertrophic range is usually around 8 to 15 in normal training. And the use of all the reps in this range when you reach to a few reps shy of failure within this range is the best way to get all around the best hypertrophic adaptations. You don't need to use that entire rep range of 5 to 30. You probably want to, again, like practice doing sets of 5, sets of 8 to 12, sometimes sets of 15 to 20, just because of like the law of accommodation. You do need to vary your rep ranges up eventually. But yeah, you don't need, there's no necessity to use that entire rep range. Thanks for the donation though, Josie Cell.
Bodies that would make you think is an anti-hero are actually a response against the environment, meaning that these are traits that are almost pathological in nature. And so to find them cool is one thing, but to think that reproducing them or trying to emulate them will make you a better person or a more masculine man, a stronger man even, is completely incorrect. And I'm going to prove that to you throughout the video. But let me cite a few traits that you most likely have noticed about Guts that would make you think he's an anti-hero. For example, the fact that he apparently lacks morals because he kills people, he kills innocents. He might lack...
He doesn't lack morals. It's that he's not benevolent. So he will be cruel. He will be unnecessarily violent. He has an edge to him that a typical archetypal hero doesn't. So if you compare him to someone like Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star, Kenshiro is absolutely benevolent. He will only do to someone what they deserve. So somebody who's horrifically cruel, he will be really cruel back and like basically make their heads explode. Guts is different. Guts will do things that are extremely gratuitous, that are callous, He'll make mistakes and kill innocent people. So that's the difference between an archetypal hero and an anti-hero.
Courage because sometimes his method of combat is underhanded, or he is selfish because he only thinks for himself.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like Han Solo, he'll like shoot somebody underneath, a table. That's not something a hero will really do. That's more of an anti-hero thing.
He only thinks about himself. I think that if you are truly a berserk head, you already know that all of that is not true. That Guts actually has a very strong sense of morality, because times and times again, he absolutely refuses to kill the innocent, even if he's justified. When he gets attacked during the Lost Children arc by random villagers, he was justified to kill them. They wanted to kill him, but he doesn't. He just runs away. When he gets attacked by those children demons...
Is Batman an anti-hero? In almost all Batman comics, no. Sometimes he approaches anti-hero in some of the comics. But again, like the worst he ever does is like beats criminals up, and arguably they all deserve it. He never kills anybody, so I don't think you can really call him an anti-hero. I've just got to go take a piss. I will be right back.
That shit always floats.
Yeah, Wolverine would be an anti-hero.
They're demons. He's justified in killing them, but he is sick to his stomach in doing that because he is a good person. Guts truly is a good person. As for courage, I don't think anyone could say that Guts lacks courage. And in terms of selflessness, he is, as I explained, the sacrificial lamb. He times and times again puts himself in danger to save other people. And yet, once again, these traits are present. This is why I tell you that it's very important to actually pay attention to what these traits mean, not just see that they are there. Because if you stop at the first step, you'll end up misidentifying these traits, and you're going to perceive them as things.
I can't do this right now. Let's just try to play some video games.